Live on a Friday night, it's Utah Grizzlies hockey. As tonight's the opener of a two-game series, the opener of 3 straight days of hockey as the Grizzlies take on the Kansas City Mavericks. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyson Whiting. We got a busy weekend of hockey on the road as the Grizzlies will be on the road for 9 of their next 11 games, including 3 games this weekend, 2 of them against the red-hot Kansas City Mavericks, who have been outstanding over the last 2.5 years. Kansas City comes in with a record of 15-6-1-1, and the Grizzlies come in with a record of 10-12-2. Well, last Saturday was certainly a fun one. It was Teddy Bear Toss night in the last of a 3-game series. The Grizzlies got a 4-0 victory over the Atlanta Gladiators. Evan Friesen scored the Teddy Bear Toss goal, 16:55 into the first period on an assist from John Gillette. And with that, 5,770 teddy bears and stuffed animals were thrown on the Mavericks center ice, and that did break a team record. So the Grizzlies go out on top in terms of the teddy bear toss. It was the biggest one ever as Evan Friesen scored 16:55 into the first. Utah took a 1-0 lead. Grizzlies scored 3 power play goals in the final 40 minutes of regulation. Neil Shea scored on a rebound from a Tyler Gratton shot, 13:30 into the second period. There were 2 fights in the second period, and one which happened with 12 seconds left in the second period as Ryan Nolan went after Maxim Barbashev, and Nolan got a 2-minute instigating minor to go along with the matching fighting majors. So the Grizzlies got a late second period power play. Neil Shea took a shot, his stick broke, and it was covered up by Ethan Hyder, the Atlanta goaltender, as there was 1.1 second left in the second period. And right off the draw, Luke Manning found Reed Lebster, and Lebster fired it past the goal line with 0.3 of a second left, and the Grizzlies took a 3-0 lead. Luke Manning added a third-period power play goal with Neil Shea and Robbie Stucker getting the assist. Utah was 3 for 6 on the power play, and they were a perfect 3 for 3 on the penalty kills. Utah came away with a 4-0 victory. After the game and after the 3 stars were announced, Stepan Timofeyev and his significant other had a gender reveal. And Timofeyev fired a slap shot, and blue smoke went everywhere. And Stepan Timofeyev and his better half are having a boy. So congratulations to Timofeyev and his bride. As what can you say? It's one of the great moments. I mean, I can't say that too many people have seen a gender reveal, and we saw that at Mavericks Center. We saw just about everything. We had a season-high crowd of 6,081, and the Grizzlies certainly played some outstanding hockey. That was 6 days ago, and unfortunately, from the Grizzlies' perspective, there have been a few roster moves since then. We'll get to that on the other side. Grizzlies are over at Cable Dahmer Arena, and we're hanging out just outside the Grizzlies team store at Mavericks Center, and unfortunately, we're going to do a remote broadcast. Hopefully, one of the Christmas gifts I get is the ability to go to road games and be able to see it live and in person. But nevertheless, it looks like a pretty good crowd's filing in, and it looks like we should have a good night for hockey. It's the Grizzlies and the Kansas City Mavericks. We'll talk about the roster moves on the other side. We'll also go over the lineups for both teams. We're in business on a Friday night, and you're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Maverick Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
Welcome back to the Grizzlies Hockey Network. I'm Tyson Whiting. Face-offs in about 10 minutes from now as the Grizzlies are over at Cable Dahmer Arena to take on Tando Had's Kansas City Mavericks. Over the last week, there were a couple roster moves. Griffin Ness was traded to the Kalamazoo Wings to complete the future considerations portion of a trade where Utah acquired Luke Salem on August 19th from Kalamazoo. That's certainly a tough loss as Griffin Ness is second on the club with 5 multiple-point games. He was certainly playing some outstanding hockey over the last couple weeks, and he had been one of Utah's most dependable forwards. But Griffin Ness just, unfortunately, future considerations, in other sports, they call it a player to be named later. And Ness turned out to be the player to be named later as he is now a member of the Kalamazoo Wings. So it's certainly tough to lose Griffin Ness, who was outstanding in his time as a Grizzly. And he will definitely be missed in 24 games with Utah this season. He had 6 goals and 9 assists in 38 total games with the Grizzlies. Ness had 9 goals and 16 assists. Earlier today, goaltender Kyle Kaiser was recalled to the AHL's Colorado Eagles, and Casimir Cassiusuo was suspended by team. And if you see that on a transaction list, and if you've been following this league long enough, you have a pretty good idea of what that means. We're not sure where he's going to land, but it appears he is headed overseas to play hockey, or at least that's what it usually means in the transaction report. And so with that, the Grizzlies are down to Dylan Wells and an emergency backup. A local Kansas City product named Blair Sanders will be backing up Wells tonight. Dylan Wells leads the Grizzlies with 5 victories on the season. And so, with Cassiusuo having abandoned the team, it's hard to really celebrate the shutout too much. However, he did stop all 20 Atlanta shots last Saturday in his Grizzlies debut, and it turned out to be his only appearance as a Grizzly. Interestingly enough, there have now been 3 different Grizzlies goaltenders who have registered shutouts this season. I will give you a little bit of trivia and give you some time to think about it. How many times in team history do you think the Grizzlies have had 3 or more goaltenders register a shutout in the same season? And the other trivia question is, how many times in Grizzlies history have there been 3 or more goaltenders register a shutout in a single season? We'll give you the answer a little bit later. Maybe in the middle of the first period, we'll give you the answer to those trivia questions. Getting the start in net for Kansas City, we believe, is Jack LaFontaine, who's got a record of 11-1-1 on the season. When we come back in 30 seconds, we'll go over the starting line, or go over the lineups for both teams. Don't have the starters for either team yet, but we'll go over some of the key performers to look out for in tonight's game. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West, or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters.
Welcome back to Utah Grizzlies Hockey. I'm hanging out in a dark and empty Mavericks Center. Grizzlies are about set to take on the Kansas City Mavericks. Unfortunately, we don't have the starting lineups for both teams. Unfortunately, Kansas City didn't have the decency to send me their lineup, although I did see it on the screen about 20 minutes ago, but I'm still waiting for an email or text from them as to who they're going to play. Would you know the Grizzlies are going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen tonight? Unfortunately, we don't have the starters, but we do believe that the top forward line from left to right is going to be the captain, Tyler Gratton. He's got 4 goals and 10 assists in 18 games. Luke Manning's been outstanding as of late. He's got 1 goal and 4 assists in his last 4 games. He'll be the first-line center, and the first-line right wing is going to be Reed Webster, who leads Utah with 11 goals on the season. Second forward line from left to right includes Danny Genev, who's tied for 3rd among all-league rookies with 20 points. He is lined up with Evan Friesen, who was the Teddy Bear Toss goal scorer last Saturday in Atlanta, and Stepan Timofeyev, who had a gender reveal after Saturday's game, and him and his significant other are going to have a boy. And he was certainly thrilled about that for them, as he has 6 goals and 6 assists in 20 games. Neil Shea's on a forward line with Riley Connors and Cooper Gay. We will also see John Gillette and Maxime Barbashev paired up with a different forward just about every shift. So that's the 11 forwards for the Grizzlies tonight. The forward scratches are Rylan Kovacevic, along with Christoph Filion, Daniel Amesbury, and Jack Ricketts. 7 defensemen for John Buchanan's crew. Utah's got a record of 7-5-1 on the road this season. Top defensive pairing is Sage Weinstein, the 20-year-old, who played with Spokane in the WHL. He's going to be paired up with Christian Felton, who has 3 goals and 5 assists in 24 games. Robbie Stucker and Luke Salem are going to be paired on and off, and they're going to be lined up with Noah Gansky tonight. Colby Enns is going to be paired up with Aiden Hansen-Bukata, who has 1 goal and 12 assists in 21 games. Watch out for AHB on Utah's power play. He's got 7 power play assists, which is tied for the club lead with Danny Genev. Getting the start in net's going to be Dylan Wells. This will be his 14th appearance this season. Wells has a record of 5-6-2 with 1 shutout. He has a 3.71 goals against average and .885 save percentage. The backup goaltender is an emergency backup named Blair Sanders. Sanders We certainly hope to not see him tonight. If we do, we certainly have a big story. Sanders will be wearing number 35. So that's the 18 on the ice. The one defensive scratch is Avery Winslow's out with an upper body injury. Like we said, Kansas City didn't have the decency to give me their lineup, although he did see on the screen a few minutes ago their projected lines. I'm not sure you got to see them on Flow Sports. 4 scratches for Kansas City. There are 2 former Grizzlies on the Kansas City roster, and both of the former Grizzlies are scratches, and that includes Luke Lemaster, who in 11 games with Kansas City has a goal and 4 assists and a -2 rating, and Kyle Powell, who played in 3 games for the Grizzlies last year. He's on the Kansas City roster. Both of those guys are scratches. Bombo Carpenter and Chase Brand are also scratches. Jack LaFontaine, we believe, will get the start in net. He's got a record of 11-1-1 with a 2.31 goals against average and 9.12 save percentage. Top forward line, according to the projected lines that they showed on the screen, they haven't given me their lineup or anything of that nature. David Cotton's going to be lined up with Jackson Berezowski and Casey Crew, and watch out for Crew. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists in his last 6 games. Jack Randall's going to be lined up with Jackson Judding and number 11, Landon McCollum. McCollum has 6 goals and 9 assists in 23 games. Justin Janicki, number 28, is going to be lined up with Nolan Sullivan and Luke Lohheit. And the 4th forward line is going to be Will Gavin, along with Jimmy Glenn and Lucas Sauder. That's the 12 forwards for Kansas City. They've got some familiar defensemen who have been around for quite some time. Marcus Crawford is on their top defensive pairing with Jake McLaughlin. Both McLaughlin and Crawford have been Kansas City Mavericks for quite some time. In fact, Crawford is a +20 this season. He's got 20 assists in 23 games. So watch out for Marcus Crawford. He will be wearing number 15 for Kansas City tonight. McLaughlin has 2 goals and 5 assists in 23 games. Zach Ewens will be paired up with Crawford. Drake Burgeon will be paired up with McLaughlin. And if you're watching on Flow Sports, there's the projected lines. Hudson Wilson, who's a +10 this season. He was a -34 in Allen last year. He's going to be paired up with Thomas Farrell. As Casey Crew has been an outstanding Maverick. He's got 8 points in his last 6 games. Grizzlies got to watch out for him. Crew had some success against the Grizzlies last year. Well, it's the first meeting this season between the Grizzlies and Mavericks. Tad O'Had, the Kansas City coach, is in his 6th season behind the bench, and really it's been 2 very different stints for Tad O'Had. In his first 3 years as Kansas City head coach, he had a record of 97, 94, and 25. The Mavericks were the epitome of mid. The last 2.5 seasons, though, from the start of the 2023-24 season to today, the Kansas City Mavericks have a record of 118, 36, and 11. Right now, they are 15, 6, 1, and 1. And since they started their affiliation with the Seattle Kraken, Kansas City has been one of the best teams in the league. It's Kansas City's 3rd year as an affiliate of the Seattle Kraken. For the Grizzlies, it's their 8th year as an affiliate with the Colorado Avalanche. It looks like they're about set for face-off in a couple minutes from now. The keys for the Grizzlies, obviously, they got to find a way to get off to a fast start, and the Grizzlies did that last Saturday against the Atlanta Gladiators. When scoring first this season, the Grizzlies have a record of 7-4-1, but they're just 3-8-1 when the opposition scores first. We'll see if the Grizzlies can score shorthanded. They have 4 shorthanded goals on the season. Well, watch out for the shot count. The Grizzlies have been pretty aggressive offensively. In their last 8 games, they have averaged 34.8 shots per game. We'll come back and have face-off on the other side. You've been tuned into the pregame report on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, and partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
It's a great night for hockey as two big standings points are on the line as the Utah Grizzlies take on the Kansas City Mavericks in the opener of a two-game series. And for the Grizzlies, it's the first of 3 games in 3 straight days. As Kansas City looks like Marcus Crawford's going to be a starter. He's going to be paired up with Zach Ewens. I'm not sure who the starters are for the Grizzlies. Does look like David Cotton's going to get out there with Jackson Berezowski and Casey Carew. That's going to be the starting forwards, and that's Kansas City's top forward line. So the Grizzlies probably are going to counter with their top forward line of Gratton, Manning, and Reed Webster, and all 3 of those guys had points. Utah's 4-0 victory over Atlanta on Teddy Bear Toss night last Saturday. Kansas City, in their last game, they picked up a 2-1 victory over the Bloomington Bison. Emil Sharon, who was the referee in all 3 games that the Grizzlies had against Atlanta last week, is the referee tonight. Joey Kramer and Duncan McGarrett are the linesmen. Grizzlies are in a black jersey with white numbers and professional green trim, as Luke Manning will take the draw against Jackson Berezowski as they're looking over some of the ice near the net that Jack LaFontaine is going to be defending. LaFontaine in 13 games has an 11-1-1 record. Berezowski and Sharon share a lighter moment at center ice. As Sharon blows the whistle, they continue to work on the ice, says one of the linesmen, Joey Kramer. We're about set to start here on a Friday night. Busy weekend for the Grizzlies. They'll see if they can get some standings points. They're 7-5-1 on the road this season. Manning crouches down to take the draw against Berezowski as they stare each other down. Puck is dropped and we're underway as the remote broadcast starts. Grizzlies will start out with the defensive pairing of Colby Enns and Aiden Hansen-Buchanan. Grizzlies skate in. Lefty shot saved by LaFontaine as Luke Manning had a pretty good look 10 seconds into the contest. Great outlet pass by AHB, and Luke Manning was denied by Jack LaFontaine to keep it a scoreless game. As Kansas City skates in, shot saved by Wells from the left wing. Do bear with me. Unfortunately, this is a remote broadcast, and so we're at the mercy of the one camera feed. Manning goes down. He takes a spill in the offensive zone. Grizzlies get it across AHB, gets it back in deep. As Webster lets it go towards the right point. Weinstein tried to shovel it ahead. It glanced off a Maverick, and the puck goes deep into the Grizzlies zone. Utah will skate from right to left as we attempt to see the game on Flow Sports. A Grizzly got bounced behind Wells' net. Utah iced the puck as we get a whistle 48 seconds in. Boy, pretty good start for the Grizzlies. Both teams have one shot, and Utah's was pretty much a breakaway as Luke Manning had a good look down the middle. He was denied by a good goaltender and Jack LaFontaine. LaFontaine out of Mississauga, Ontario. Also spent some time in the AHL with Coachella Valley. That's the Kansas City Mavericks AHL affiliate. Riley Connors will take the draw against Jackson Judding. Connors wins the draw. He's out there tonight with Shea and Cooper Gay. Gay's in his 3rd appearance as a Grizzly. Puck towards the right corner of the Grizzly zone. Shea challenges. Grizzlies come out with the puck. Utah will race out towards center ice as Connors will dump it in. He had Cooper Gay nearby. Now the Mavericks come back the other way. Kansas City races over the offensive line. 1:10 in. They look to center it. And the Grizzlies, it looks like a penalty's been called as play had stopped as Jack Randall, who played with Bridgeport in the AHL. Everybody skated towards the bench. Everybody stopped skating. It's possible maybe there was an offside on the play. So we played 1:09. It does look like offside was called on Kansas City as Manning's out there with John Gillette and Maxime Barbashev. Barbashev and Gillette played well on Saturday. In fact, just about everybody for the Grizzlies played well on Saturday in the 4-0 victory over Atlanta last Saturday on Teddy Bear Toss night, where the Grizzlies had a season-high crowd of 6,081. Action in the Grizzlies zone along the far side. Utah will race out towards center ice. Barbashev will backhand it across. Grizzlies enter from the left wing as Christian Felton will chip it in deeper. As now John Gillette towards the near goal line. He was battling with the Maverick. Barbashev skates towards the left side. Now he cycles the puck around. Gillette off his stick. Puck towards the left corner. Manning nearby as it's brushed towards the near wing wall. As the Mavericks get pushed towards the boards by a Grizzly and Christian Felton in particular. Utah has it at their blue line as we played about 2 minutes. No score. Both teams have one shot. Grizzlies gain center ice, and they'll push it in as Mavericks deep in their own zone wearing a white jersey with a little bit of blue, with a little bit of orange mixed in. Their shade of blue is more of a navy shade. As Mavericks dump it in, Thomas Farrell, we believe, number 24, dumped it in. Now he'll skate off the ice for a change. Unfortunately, the orange is in the middle portion of the jersey top, and so the numbers don't stand out on the screen. Right point, one is lofted towards Wells, and Wells might have gotten a piece of it with his blocker. Puck towards the far side. Danny Genev races after. He gets there 1-on-3. Genev over the offensive line. Skates towards the right side. Trying to center it towards Timofeyev, but it was overled for him. Timofeyev gets off the near wing boards. He'll lay it for Hanson Bukata, who gets to the middle of the ice. Grizzlies spin it along the boards towards the right wing. Kansas City comes up with this. Grizzlies retreat defensively as they're 17-12 on a moving clock. First period, no score. Both teams with one shot. We're just getting underway, so grab some chips and dip in a beverage of your choice and enjoy part of Friday with us. As Kansas City gets it around Utah's net, and now towards the far side, Mavericks will lose control of the puck. As Gratton's out there with Reed Lebster. Manning gets physical with the Maverick behind Wells' net, behind Wells' right shoulder. Is Manning feeds it towards Colbiens, who will spin it along the far wing boards. Grizzlies chase after it. No icing on the play. Well, Grizzlies got some outstanding speed, and that's Reed Lebster. As Lebster will chip it towards the right side off a Kansas City stick. They're trying to get it back towards Lebster, and the Mavericks will carry it out towards neutral ice, but the Grizzlies look like they were able to keep it in, and both teams will spread the ice. Kansas City's deep in their own end, skating from left to right. Mavericks moving out towards center ice. Marcus Crawford will bounce one in. He's a +20 this season. Wells behind his net gets it towards the near side. Wells is backed up by an emergency goaltender. His name's Blair Sanders, as Kyle Kaiser was recalled to Colorado earlier today, and Casimir Cassiusuo, we're not entirely sure about where he's headed, but according to the transaction report, he was suspended by team. As Cooper Gay tries to move towards the far corners, he gets cut off by a Maverick. As Kansas City, towards the right side, Grizzlies try to knife it away. Kansas City will move it out towards center ice. They get their stride ahead of Weinstein. They get behind Weinstein, left wing, lefty shot, saved by Wells, and he holds on with 15:49. That's the time remaining first period. We believe the shot was taken by number 9, Luke Lohite, or actually Jackson Judding's number 9. He's got 11 goals on the season. As they show the replay, McLaughlin got ahead towards Judding, who was behind Weinstein. Judding took a lefty shot, and Wells made a glove save. Riley Connors will take the draws in his first full season as a pro. He's a Yale and St. Lawrence product. He was a captain at Yale University in the 2023-24 season. Over to the left point, lefty shot, kick save by Wells off his left pad. As Grizzlies out towards center ice. Now it's pushed to the Kansas City line. Mavericks have the puck as we played 4.5 minutes. Still no score. Mavericks have 3 shots. Grizzlies have 1. The Grizzlies shot was 10 seconds into the game on a breakaway by Luke Manning. John Gillette has the puck wearing number 24. He skates around Utah's net towards the near side. He'll move it to a defenseman. Now back towards Gillette, who gets around one Maverick, crosses center ice, and Gillette will dump it in. You remember the early 2000s, it kind of looks like a dial-up internet feed where it's a little bit jumpy and quick. Puck up top off a Salem stick. Salem regathers it in the offensive zone, backhands it, right point. That shot's blocked away. That might have been taken by Robbie Stucker wearing number 4. As now the Grizzlies towards the left goal line. Fire towards the net. Saved by LaFontaine. As John Gillette gets pushed by Thomas Farrell. He's a 6'1 defenseman. So Grizzlies get their second shot and a good hard-working shift by Gillette, Barbashev, and one of the forwards that's been lined up with them. As it was Colby Enns that took the shot. Enns and Stucker are pretty similar-sized guys. Lebster on that particular shift was paired up with Gillette and Barbashev, and it was Lebster that took the shot from the left wing. So both goaltenders have had to make some good saves early on. Still no score. Genev trying to get to Friesen in the left wing. Friesen didn't get much on a one-timer as the Maverick took their time and space away from Friesen, who's played a hard-working brand of hockey, 4 goals and 4 assists in 24 games. Grizzlies out towards the left wing trying to enter the offensive zone. They get so successfully, but Timofeyev got cut out by Zach Ewens, who's a 6'2", 201-pound defenseman. Kansas City will race out towards center ice. They cross the center. We believe that's a red line, although it looks more orange than red over in Kansas City. Mavericks will guide it ahead. Unfortunately, the angle is a little bit too wide to spot who's who. As Grizzlies cross center ice and dump it in, LaFontaine wearing number 1 on the back of his white and orange jersey, although a lot of people will call it a sweater still. Kansas City skates towards the right side. I guess it depends on the fabric, as Kansas City will now race back to neutral ice. Grizzlies will fit in a line change. Their bench is towards the right side of center ice, far side as we see it on Flow Sports. Right of center ice. As ahead, Grizzlies dump it in. Gratton chases after it. He's a second-year pro. He was the captain at Arizona State a couple years ago. As the Mavericks move it out towards center ice, as a battle along the near wing boards at the Kansas City line, as Manning nudged it ahead towards Lebster. Lebster gets pushed towards the near wing boards. As the Mavericks deep in their own zone, Grizzlies retreat defensively. We played 6.5 minutes, still no score. Mavericks have outshot the Grizzlies 3-2. Kansas City slithers away across the entire defense of the Grizzlies. Now they get it behind Wells' net. As the Grizzly gets physical behind Utah's net, and the puck slides towards a crease, and it's cut off by Wells, who covers up. 13:18 left in the first period, still no score. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
No score between the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. Grizzlies have a shot from Luke Manning and Reed Lebster. Kansas City has a shot from Judding, McCollum, and Casey Carew. Jack LaFontaine, with his next victory, becomes the Mavericks' winningest goaltender. And the Grizzlies are hoping that happens at some point either on Sunday or next week. As draws give me the Grizzlies zone, left circle. Grizzlies skate from right to left as we see the game on Flow Sports. Your mind's eye see it on YouTube. Unfortunately, with this remote feed, we'll try to paint a picture for you, but it might be difficult and a little bit fuzzy. Grizzlies centering pass, lefty shot, and a score! Grizzlies get on the board. I think that's Nils Shea as he gets the 7th of the year. He raced down the middle of the ice. Puck ended up towards the crease, and Nils Shea gets the 7th of the year. Boy, Grizzlies got it to Cooper Gay. Gay one-handed it towards the middle of the ice, and Shea just fired it past LaFontaine. Great job by Cooper Gay. He had a Maverick hanging off his left arm. Perfect centering pass, and Nils Shea with plenty of momentum was able to fire it past Jack LaFontaine. So the Grizzlies get on the board first as Shea scored glove side past LaFontaine, who tried to sprawl towards his right as Nils Shea gets a high five from John Mechanic and members of the Grizzlies. Nils Shea sporting a mustache. He gets the 7th of the year. He now has a goal in back-to-back games. Utah leads 1-0 about 7 minutes in. Both teams have 3 shots. High slot shot saved by LaFontaine. That shot might have been taken by Tyler Gratton, who had an assist last Saturday on the Teddy Bear Toss game against the Atlanta Gladiators. So Utah leads 1-0, and the Grizzlies are 7-4-1 when scoring first. Shea was assisted by Cooper Gay and Noah Gansky. As Gansky now has an assist in back-to-back games, he has 3 assists on the season. For Cooper Gay, it's his first point as a Grizzly. Now the Mavericks left wing shot saved by Wells. He holds on with 12:30 left in the first. So it's going to be a draw in the Grizzlies zone. As well, spin it towards the right side. Barbashev between his legs. McCollum moved it towards the middle of the ice, and the shot was taken by Jack Randall as they show a replay. Randall's had a good year, 8 goals and 8 assists in 23 games. First time he's played against the Grizzlies. Jack Randall, 25 years old. Evan Friesen will take the draw against Casey Carew. Friesen, 4 goals and 4 assists in 24 games. He's played a blue-collar style of hockey. As Grizzlies win the draw, they skate around Wells' net. Christian Felton along the near goal line. He'll race towards the near wing boards. He'll tap it off the wall as the puck is bounced by a Maverick. It could be a hand pass if it was played by a Maverick initially. Now Genev comes out of the pile with the puck, races towards the left side. Toe drag, shot goes wide as he missed the net glove side on LaFontaine. As Genev, today's pair is lined up with Friesen and Timofeyev. As the shot's blocked down the middle of the ice, Genev's in the area. High sticking is going to be the call, and who's it going to be on? Jake McLaughlin looking nearby as Genev believes he was the one that was hit with a high stick, and it looks like it's going to be a Utah power play. As Jackson Berezowski, I thought he was skating. I thought he was skating to the penalty box. He's skating to the bench instead. So doesn't look like there's any penalty on the play. We're just skating 5-on-5 about 8 minutes in. Nolan Sullivan takes a draw for Kansas City against Freese, and now Sullivan's kicked out of the faceoff circle. Sullivan a +5 this season. And Luke Lohheit will take the draw. Lohheit, 7 goals and 6 assists and a +5 rating in 22 games. A big-time hit delivered by a Grizzly as Shea scored 13:08 in, or they scored with 13:08 left as Gay and Gansky got the assists. And the person doing the graphics here doesn't know hockey. They put 13:08, and that was the time remaining. They didn't go with hockey time, which is 6:52 into the first period when Utah got on the board. As Grizzlies with the puck, that might be Stucker or Enns. They're very similar-sized defensemen. Left wing feed out to center ice for Genev, who bounces it in. Timofeyev chasing after it, but the puck goes towards Kansas City. Mavericks trying to bounce it out, but it's kept in. Reed Lebster feeds it towards the right wing. Grizzlies in the offensive zone. They get it towards Robbie Stucker, left side. He fired towards the net, and it's blocked. Stucker gets it back, skates towards a high slot, moves to his right. Now Stucker's in the right point, fires towards the net, and a score! Might have been redirected by Reed Lebster, and the Grizzlies take a 2-0 lead. It looks like Lebster skates the bench first. And so it might be Reed Lebster's team leading 12th of the year. Stucker had the puck skated towards the right side, and cutting towards the net was Lebster. But Lebster got pretty close towards the crease, and Stucker helicoptered towards the net. Couldn't tell if Lebster got a piece of it or not, as LaFontaine was just moving towards his left a little bit. And I wonder if that's going to get reviewed for maybe goaltender interference, as that certainly looked close. Lebster believed he got a piece of it. Lebster says for what? And the play is under review. And, Lebster asked for what? And I think it's going to be whether Lebster made contact with LaFontaine or not. And so this play is under further review. Right now it's 2-0 Grizzlies, although based on the replay that was shown on Flow Sports, it could go either way. As Lebster got pretty close towards LaFontaine, we actually have seen a couple instances now this year where Lebster got all up in the goaltender's business. Remember the game winner against Allen in late November. It was pretty close to goaltender interference, but the goal counted. There wasn't contact there. Lebster was cutting towards the net from his left to his right, from the left wing. And LaFontaine tried to move his blocker out, and then there was contact. Whether the contact was with Lebster or a Maverick, it's tough to tell, as it looked like LaFontaine might have bounced the blocker off of Jake McLaughlin. Whether Lebster got a piece of it or not, it's hard to say, but it looks like the draw is going to be at center ice, and we didn't get the referee's signal, but I believe it's a good goal. It's 2-0 Utah. 11:11 is the time remaining first period. Grizzlies lead 2-0. They've been off to a fantastic start here against a pretty good Kansas City club. Grizzlies won the draw. We do know that Neil Shea scored just under 7 minutes into the game as the Grizzlies ice the puck as they're looking for a pass near the Kansas City line. So we'll see who gets credited with the second goal, whether it's Robbie Stucker's versus a Grizzly, or if it's going to be Reed Lebster's team leading 12th of the year. Tough to tell whether Lebster got a piece of the puck or not. So face-offs game in the Grizzlies zone, left circle. So it's 2-0 Utah lead, 2 goals on 5 shots against Jack LaFontaine. Draw one by the Grizzlies. Robbie Stucker will fling one towards his right. And it looks like the Grizzlies are called for, they keep playing on. Icing was waved off. As there's 10:48 on a moving clock first period. Kansas City skies into the Grizzlies zone. Gansky boxes out a Maverick. Wells push the puck towards the far corner. Now the puck goes from one corner to the other side. A Grizzly gets belted over in the right corner. Stucker delivers some lumber on a Maverick. Stucker delivers a basketball-style screen to break free Gratton. As Gansky throws to the far side, Grizzlies will bounce the puck out to center ice off the boards. It's gloved and dropped by Kansas City. And the puck deflects off the Grizzly back to neutral ice. Kansas City will slice it in around the wall. As Utah skating from right to left, looks like Robbie Stucker got credited with the goal with Manning and Lebster getting the assist. So Robbie Stucker gets his first as a Grizzly. And Utah leads 2-0. They credited the goal with Stucker, as they say that Lubster didn't get a piece of it, but Lubster does get a point with an assist. As Kansas City left point shot, that one goes wide, as Wells kicked over his left pad. As Cooper Gay has the puck wearing number 44, crosses center ice, and he'll dump it in. Shea chasing after it. LaFontaine behind his net as Maverick gets belted by a Grizzly. Now another hit delivered by, I believe, Reed Lubster. As Stucker scored 8:49 into the first period. As Grizzlies have the puck. Stucker's second of the year. He had one goal with Reading earlier this season. Grizzlies drive it in. LaFontaine behind his net. As Mavericks will fan on moving it out. As Manning challenges Thomas Farrell. Now the Grizzlies race towards the puck on the right point. Felton keeps it in, trying to get towards Barbashev, went past him. And the Mavericks will bounce it off the wall. It goes all the way deep towards the Grizzlies zone. Icing is on Kansas City as the whistle blows with 9:07 left in the first. So 2 goals on 5 shots for the Grizzlies, and Utah will have an offensive zone draw. It appears that Stucker got credited with Utah's second goal as it wasn't redirected by Reed Lubster. Might have bounced off a Kansas City body as there was a Kansas City player cutting with Reed Lubster in front of LaFontaine. Stucker's goals assisted by Luke Manning and Reed Lubster, 8:49 in. Boy, Manning's played some outstanding hockey coming into play tonight. He had 1 goal and 4 assists in his last 4 games, and so Manning with another point, and Reed Lubster picked up his 6th assists of the year. Stucker, a second goal overall this year, had 1 goal with the Reading Royals earlier this season. Genev has the puck. He's in the high slot, gets towards Timofeyev. One-timer saved by LaFontaine in the butterfly position. Kansas City will sky it out towards Grizzlies ice. It's taken by Noah Gansky at the Utah line. He'll nudge it ahead towards the bench areas. The Grizzlies race horizontally. Now they'll push it towards the Utah line. Grizzlies will guide it out towards center ice. It glances off the stick of Timofeyev. Kansas City will nudge it in. They make a line change. As action deep in the Grizzlies zone, Utah spreads the ice. Grizzlies cross center. Genev gets around one Maverick, gains center ice, and they'll push it in. As Grizzlies complete a line change of their own. Now Kansas City dumps it deep in the Grizzlies zone, and Utah will slice it. Arm is raised by the linesman. We believe Kansas City's called for icing. With 8:23, that's the time remaining in the first period. Busy weekend for the Grizzlies. They've got Kansas City tonight, and then they have Kansas City tomorrow. That game's going to start an hour earlier, 5:05 in the Mountain Time Zone. And then Sunday afternoon at 2:05, the Grizzlies will be at BOK Center to take on the Tulsa Oilers. That'll be the final time, all time in the regular season. The Grizzlies will play at Tulsa. As Kansas City skied over the offensive line, but they lose control of the puck. Rink wide feed angle left off the boards. Reed Lubster chases after it. LaFontaine will bounce one off the Lubster. A Maverick plays it as Lubster and LaFontaine collide. Now they exchange words with each other. Mavericks race out towards center ice. They push it to the Utah line. Grizzlies one-handed to head towards Kansas City ice. Back towards the left corner. Manning chases after it. As Maverick goes down, Manning centers it. Righty shot to score! Reed Lubster gets his 12th of the year, and the Grizzlies are on fire tonight. They lead 3-0. Boy, the Grizzlies are buzzing here this evening. Utah got it towards the near corner as the Maverick fell down. Then Manning centered it to Lubster. Manning to Lubster to the back of the net. Luke Manning gets his 2nd assist of the night. And then Lubster just fired it past LaFontaine. Glove side. And the Grizzlies are doing it against a good Kansas City club, and they're doing it against a good goaltender in Jack LaFontaine, who's got a record of 11-1-1. It's already a multiple point game for Lubster, who now has 1 goal and 1 assist. Grizzlies 3 goals on 7 shots. Utah dumps into the offensive zone. As Grizzlies, since the beginning of Saturday night's game, have outscored opponents 7-0. Utah dumps it in. LaFontaine plays it behind his net. As Mavericks push it towards the Utah line. Now the Mavericks dumping in. Gansky rolls along the boards. John Gillette battling with the puck over in the far wing. Now Gillette he skates around Wells' net, and he stops behind Utah's net. Grizzlies in a black jersey, white numbers, professional green trim. As Utah towards the left wing, Barbashev dumps it in. As Kansas City back behind their net, Barbashev delivers a hit. He's been a physical presence for the Grizzlies, and he's got the size to boot. At 6'1", 188 pounds, seems bigger than that. Gillette left wing, his shot's blocked away. As Grizzlies, they're buzzing here tonight on the road. Kansas City lofts it out towards center ice. Gloved and dropped by Gansky. He'll nudge it towards his left. Grizzlies sweeping around the boards as Lepster will race off the ice after another good shift. Freese in the area. Barbashev gets physical again. Kansas City having a tough time getting it out of their own zone. Grizzlies doing a good job challenging them defensively. It's Kansas City still in their own end. Now the Mavericks move a right wing pass out towards the Utah line. Behind the net, Dylan Wells will guide it towards the far side. Puck more towards the corner. Colbiens holds his ground. Grizzlies get it ahead towards Genev across the center ice. Genev around one Maverick. Skates towards the right side. Genev dancing around in the right circle. Feeds it down the middle of the ice. Lefty shot. Saved by LaFontaine, and he holds on with 6:07 left in the first. Boy, the Grizzlies are buzzing tonight. 3 goals on 8 shots. They lead 3-0 with 6:07 left in the first. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What a great start for the Grizzlies. You talk about trying to build on that 4-0 victory last Saturday. Utah's off to a 3-0 start. They've got 3 goals on 7 shots. Neil Shea found the back of the net, 6:52 win with Cooper Gay and Noah Gansky getting the assists. About 2 minutes later, Robbie Stucker scored from the right point as he helicoptered one pass off Fontaine. Manning and Lepster with the assist. And then Reed Lepster made it a 3-0 game on a great pass from Manning. That was 12-10 into the first period. Genev feeds it towards the net as Friesen trying to get it in front of the crease, and LaFontaine covers up with 5:59 left in the first. Grizzlies lead 3-0. They've outshot the Mavericks 8-5. We haven't had a power play so far tonight, as there's another timeout on the ice. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Maverick Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
The Grizzlies looked outstanding here so far as there's less than 6 minutes left in the first period. Grizzlies up 3-0. Goals from Neil Shea, Robbie Stucker, and Reed Lepster. Freese will take the draw for Utah. Grizzlies, it's just been one hard-working shift after another. And it's been the forwards and the defensive unit. Utah's played some great team hockey so far. As action towards the Grizzlies zone, arm is raised. We might have our first penalty of the game. It's Luke Lowhite and Sage Weinstein were near each other. There's 5:50 left in the first period. Emil Sharon raises his right arm. He's the one referee tonight. And action comes towards the Kansas City zone. So I believe a penalty was called to the Mavericks, but we're not really sure. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of this one video feed, and it doesn't tell us part of the picture. But it is an offensive zone draw. It does like there's 5 on the ice for Kansas City. I wish we knew why the Grizzlies had an offensive zone draw there, but I guess it is what it is. Kansas City tries to skate in left wing. Grizzlies build a wall at the blue line, and the Mavericks are offside as there's 5:40 left in the first. Grizzlies have shutouts from 3 different goaltenders this season. We gave you a bit of a trivia question before the game. In fact, it was 2 trivia questions. 1, how many seasons have the Grizzlies had shutouts from 3 different goaltenders? And 2, in what season? There was 1 year where the Grizzlies had shutouts from 4 different goalies. There are a couple trivia questions. We'll give you some of the fun facts during the next whistle. As Grizzlies move the puck out towards center ice, Utah leads 3-0, 5.5 minutes left in the first. Grizzlies will dump it in as Manning throws it behind the net. LaFontaine plays it. Coming out is Landon McCollum. As he'll cross center ice and he'll sky it in. Grizzlies chase after it, no icing. As Gansky gets hit in the back, as he'll spin the puck along the far wing boards. Grizzlies skate from right to left during the period. Rink-wide feed angle left off the wall. One-handed by Gratton, who gets it deeper into the Kansas City zone. As he gives the Mavericks a rough ride towards the boards. Now left wing, 8 hands to Buchanan, lefty shot. Glove saved by LaFontaine. He holds on. Hanson Buchanan had a pretty good look from the left wing. LaFontaine made a nice glove save, and that was a grade A look, and most of Utah's 9 shots have been grade A chances. And it was Luke Manning once again, backhanded it towards AHB, the backhand dish, and then AHB fired it low, and LaFontaine made a glove save about knee high. So Grizzlies have been sharp here tonight. This is about as good as we've seen the Grizzlies play, and this is probably better than how they played on Saturday night. 3 of the 4 goals were on the power play, and all this has come 5-on-5. Kansas City skates over the left wing, but the whistle blows. Hand pass might have been called. It looked like a Grizzly tried to glove it. David Cotton in the area, number 13 for Kansas City. We haven't had a single penalty so far, as they're going to skate towards neutral ice with 4:51 left in the first. Face-off, I believe, is going to be at center ice. There have been 6 different seasons where the Grizzlies have gotten a shutout from 3 or more goaltenders. The 1 year where the Grizzlies had a shutout from 4 different goalies was the 99-2000 season. Corey Hirsch had 3 shutouts. Ian Gordon had 2 shutouts. Rick Parent and Rick Tabarashi each had 1 shutout. That was in the 1999-2000 season. Grizzlies nudge ahead towards center ice, and Cooper Gay chases after it. No icing as LaFontaine will spin it towards the far corner. Cooper Gay joins the play. As Gay trying to come out with the puck, Kansas City is able to collect it and throw it around their net. Mavericks will bounce one up but not out. Shea trying to get to Connors as Kansas City cuts in front of them. 4.5 minutes left in the first period. It's been a blue-collar, hard-working forward line for the Grizzlies, one after another. Utah leads 3-0. They've outshot the Mavericks 9-5. Cooper Gay will tap it in. This will skate off the ice for a change. Grizzlies are keeping their shifts short. They've been pretty solid here so far tonight. As Utah dumps it in, John Gillette on the ice, wearing number 24. You know you're going to get a hard-working F from the Holy Cross product. Puck is lofted into the Grizzlies zone. Felton chases after it. Kansas City gets there first. Puck spins towards the near corner. Grizzlies get pushed towards the corner, but do a good job holding their ground. Salem nearby as Utah trying to take it away, and Utah does. They've won another 50-50 puck. They've been winning those so far here tonight. Kansas City bouncing off the near wing wall as Mavericks enter from the right wing. Unfortunately, the camera angle is a little bit too wide, and the numbers are brushed in with a bit of an orange jersey, so it's tough to tell who's who. Kansas City tries to fire towards the net. Grizzlies stick it away, and they'll bounce one deep into the Mavericks zone. Kansas City gets challenged. The Grizzlies have done a great job defensively, the forwards in particular, challenging Kansas City in the Mavericks zone. They're making the Mavericks work for just about every piece of real estate that they get. As Grizzlies have been sharp here so far tonight. 3:08 on a moving clock first period. And the Mavericks finally get out to neutral ice, but the Grizzlies challenge. Utah takes it away. Friesen, he tried to center it. It's bounced off by a Maverick. Now Genev, he tries to center it. Too much traffic out in front. Right wing. Gansky feeds it in deep off the Kansas City backboards. Friesen gets it up top. Gansky gets it towards Stucker. One-timer saved by LaFontaine. Rebound shot, a score! Danny Genev gets his 6th of the year. And so that will make it a 4-0 hockey game. Oh, the Grizzlies are on fire tonight. Stucker's going to get his 2nd point as he fired the shot, and then Danny Genev, I believe, collected the rebound. Stucker from the left wing, he fired towards LaFontaine. Danny Genev was in the right place at the right time. Stucker's one-timer bounced off of LaFontaine. Perfect rebound. Genev had to battle with Hudson Wilson. Genev's giving about a foot of height on Wilson, but Genev just kept battling. The hard work, and he was able to get it past LaFontaine. So it's 4-0 Grizzlies. They have 4 goals on 10 shots as there's 2:42 left in the first. as they stopped play while the puck was in the Kansas City zone. So draw's going to be at neutral ice. LaFontaine's still in there. So draw at neutral ice. I'm a little bit surprised. I don't think it's an emergency goaltender that Kansas City has, but you'd almost expect a lot of teams, maybe a pull LaFontaine, even if it's not his fault, trying to give his team a spark. But it looks like LaFontaine's still in there for Kansas City. As Grizzlies win the neutral zone draw, they get it in deep. Utah feeds up top right side. Shot is blocked. Kansas City will carry it towards center ice. Genev got the goal. Stucker and Gansky assisted on it. Gansky now has 2 assists. Stucker with 1 goal and 1 assist. And Danny Genev gets his team leading. 21st point of the season. He now has 6 goals and 15 assists. Genev has 7 assists in the month of December. Kansas City tattoos off the near wing boards, and they ice it. As the time at goal was 17-12 into the first. We have to do a little bit of math as they have the time that's left in the first period on the score bug on the left wing. So the Grizzlies have goals from Neil Shea, Robbie Stucker, Reed Lepster, and now Danny Genev. It was a 4-0 victory last Saturday, and the Grizzlies, who have been a pretty strong road club this year, they're 7-5-1 away from the friendly confines at Mavericks Center. This is about the best period of hockey the Grizzlies have played all season. And the Grizzlies have had some pretty good ones here so far before the Christmas break. As Kansas City wins the draw, they get towards Utah ice, but the Grizzlies are challenging Kansas City at every point of the ice. And Kansas City has had to work big time just to get it out of their own zone. Mavericks ice the puck once again, and the arm is raised by both linesmen. 1:53 is left in the first period. The Grizzlies are putting on a defensive clinic in this first period, and that has to excite John Mechanic and assistant coaches Ryan Anderson and Jack Skilley. So draw's going to be in the Kansas City zone. The Mavericks look stunned, and the Grizzlies, it's been a hard-working effort. It's not one of those where they've just, Kansas City's just kind of giving it to them. Grizzlies are working hard, one forward shift at a time, and everybody's contributing. That's part of what's made this one so fun. Grizzlies already have many players in the multiple-point game. Grizzly fanned on a shot. Now centering pass. Weinstein will stick it towards the far corner. Kansas City in the offensive zone as Weinstein lays on a Maverick. Felton will pitch it towards the near wall. Shea's over there blocking a Maverick. Now right point. Righty shot that goes off the glass. Now the Mavericks try to center it, and Weinstein moved it back towards the far wing boards. Kansas City skates towards the point. The Grizzlies, Christian Felton pushes Kansas City out of the zone, but the puck stayed in the Grizzlies' end. As Kansas City dancing around, Cooper Gay challenges a Maverick. And boy, the Grizzlies, I don't know what they worked on in practice, but it had to have been the defensive end of the ice. Grizzlies have been on point, assignment sound. As Kansas City gets back towards the left point, they are challenging Kansas City on every inch of the 200 by 85 foot sheet of ice. Kansas City, as the puck cleared back to center ice, Mavericks will skate towards the right point. Marcus Crawford fires the righty shot that goes wide, glove side on Wells. It's Mavericks throw it towards the right goal line. They look to center. It kicks off the skate. Now righty shot saved by Wells. That shot was taken from the right wing. Mavericks rolled along the boards behind the net. John Gillette gets there before a Maverick. As Grizzlies move it back to neutral ice. And Utah dumps it in, but not far enough for icing. Kansas City rink wide feed angle left, goes tape to tape. Mavericks skate towards the right side, and they try to center it. Wells sprawled towards his right, pass misconnected. Now the puck back towards the Kansas City line, less than 20 seconds left in the first period. Mavericks skate towards the right corner, and they try to backhand it out in front. Salem was challenging nearby. As Kansas City towards the left wing, Grizzlies deliver a push. Now Kansas City back towards the far wing. Unfortunately, with the wide shot, can't quite tell who's who for Kansas City. Luke Salem avoids a check, and that will do it for 20 glorious minutes of hockey as Utah leads 4-0 on goals from Neil Shea, Robbie Stucker, Reed Lepster, and Danny Genev in that order. Boy, the Grizzlies put on a defensive clinic. They challenged Kansas City in every level of the ice. Grizzlies had the mother-in-law defense working for so far this evening. If you don't know what that means, it is a smothering, all-in-your-face kind of defensive effort, and that's what the Grizzlies put forth in the first 20 minutes of play. Utah 4, Kansas City nothing. We're back in 2 minutes to recap what was one of the best periods of the season. Grizzlies 4 goals on 10 shots. Kansas City no goals on 6 shots. Everybody contributed to the Utah attack. This is the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Mavericks Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
So Grizzlies leading a 4-0 hockey game after one period. I'm Tyson Whiting, and the Grizzlies put on a 20-minute clinic against Kansas City and really that's the way you open up a road trip. You know, for the Grizzlies, they got it started with hustling with a lot of hustle and desire on the defensive end. Kansas City, when they had the puck in their own zone, Grizzlies really challenged them. And Kansas City had a tough time just getting the puck to neutral ice. Grizzlies were all over them. We talk about that mother-in-law defense, just kind of a smothering, in-your-face brand of hockey, and that's what the Grizzlies put forth there in the first 20 minutes. Utah got on the board, 6:52 in as Neil Shea got his 7th of the year. Cooper Gay and Noah Gansky with the assist. And Gay got the main assist. He was skating along the right wing. He had a Maverick kind of hanging on his left arm. Gay just kind of one-handed a pass towards the middle of the ice for Shea. Shea collected it, and he fired a glove side pass LaFontaine. LaFontaine just kind of moved towards his right, and he kind of moved a little bit too far and left plenty of room glove side, and Shea was able to capitalize as he now has a goal in back-to-back games. Shea now has 7 goals on the season. Cooper Gay got his first point as a Grizzly with an assist, and Noah Gansky picked up his first of 2 assists in the period. He now has 4 on the season, but that was his 3rd assist of the year. But a couple minutes later, Grizzlies got back on the board, 8:49 in. Stucker had the puck in the right point. He helicoptered one towards the net, and Reed Lebster and a Maverick were both cutting towards the net horizontally. Looked like LaFontaine tried to move his blocker out, and he might have gotten his own teammate with the blocker, and Stucker was able to score cleanly. Manning and Lebster each picked up an assist, and Utah took a 2-0 lead. They looked at it for a little bit on video replay, probably to see if there was goaltender interference. If you're a Kansas City fan, you probably looked at that and said that there probably could have been a call. But whether it was actually Lebster that LaFontaine nudged into, or whether it was LaFontaine's teammate, as Lebster was just kind of trying to get in front of the net, and the Maverick was there as well, and the Grizzlies were able to get that traffic out in front of the net. They did a good job of that last Saturday against Atlanta. And Robbie Stucker with his 2nd of the year. It's his first as a Grizzly. He didn't have any goals in 24 games for the Grizzlies in the 2023-24 season, but he did have 9 assists. He had 1 goal in 17 games earlier this year with the Reading Royals, and Stucker gets his 2nd of the season, 8:49 in. Grizzlies extended the lead to 3-0 as Luke Manning feeded with a backhand feed towards the front of the net. Manning to Lebster to the back of the net. Reed Lebster got his 12th of the year. Manning with the lone assist. That was 12-10 into the first period. That made it a 3-0 game. And then Danny Genev got the puck. He was just hanging out in front of the net, battling with Hudson Wilson. Stucker fired a one-timer from the left wing. It bounced off of LaFontaine. And how about the heart and desire of Danny Genev, who is listed at 5'5" and 150 pounds. He was going up in front of the net with Hudson Wilson, who goes 6'3", 200 pounds. And it was heart desire and just wanting it more that led to the Danny Genev goal. That was his 6th of the year. Robbie Stucker and Noah Gansky with the assists. And already a multiple-point game for quite a few Grizzlies. Robbie Stucker with 1 goal and 1 assist. Reed Lebster also with 1 goal and 1 assist. Luke Manning and Noah Gansky already have 2 assists tonight. And Neil Shea and Danny Genev each have goals. Robbie Stucker and Noah Gansky are each a +3 for the Grizzlies through one period. Luke Manning, Reed Lobster, and Tyler Gratton, that forward line is each a +2. Grizzlies outshot the Mavericks 11-6 in the first period, and they did show while we were out to commercial break, it looked like kind of an intern was interviewing Tad O'Had after the first period, and I got to say, Tad did not look very happy as the Grizzlies. And really what it was, the Grizzlies were just out hustling Kansas City. Obviously, the Grizzlies haven't played since last Saturday, and they looked like a fresh team. And the Grizzlies, you'll use that old cliche, do you want it more than your opponent? The first 20 minutes looked like the Grizzlies definitely wanted it more than Kansas City. And so Utah has a 4-0 lead after one period. When we come back, we'll go over the other action across the league. We'll also go over some NHL scores as well. It's the Grizzlies 4 and the Mavericks 0. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Mavericks' new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Maverick Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
Utah 4, Kansas City 0 after one period. Other action in the league, there's actually 14 games in the four-letter league tonight. Early third period, Greensboro leads Wheeling 3-0. Wheeling is 19-5-1 on the year. Greensboro struggled a little bit. They're 6-12-4-1, but Greensboro has a 3-0 lead over Wheeling that game early third period. South Carolina leads Orlando 1-0. That game's after two periods. Also after 40 minutes of play, Reading leads Adirondack 3-1. After two periods, Florida and Savannah are tied at 2. Former Grizzly Taryn Fizer has one of the goals for the Everblades. Florida is 17-5-1-1 on the season. After two periods, Maine and Trois-Rivières are tied at 1. Early third period, Norfolk and Worcester are tied at 1. After two periods, Guy Krenz and Jared Youngman's Atlanta Gladiators lead Jacksonville 3-1. Louis Bedome, Isaac Walter, and Ryan Nolan have the Atlanta goals. Marco Costantini has the Jacksonville tally. Toledo leads Iowa 4-1 after 40 minutes of play. Brandon Hawkins has one of the Toledo goals. Hawkins, a league legend. Late second period, Indy and Fort Wayne are tied at 1. A former Grizzly has a goal for Kalamazoo tonight. Griffin Ness made his Kalamazoo debut this evening. He's wearing number 34 for Kalamazoo. He wore number 77 for the Grizzlies, but he's not the former Grizzly that has a goal for Kalamazoo. It's Derek Dashke, who was just reassigned to Kalamazoo from the AHL's Abbotsford Canucks. Dashke scored 19:54 into the first period. They are just starting play in the second period. Kalamazoo leads Bloomington 2-0. Late first period, Tulsa and Allen are tied at 1. Getting underway in about 20 minutes from now, Idaho Central Arena, Rapid City takes on Idaho. And at 8 o'clock, Wichita is at Tahoe. So that's the action across the four-letter league. And when we come back, we will have NHL scores, a few NHL games, and maybe we'll have an update on the college football playoff game as well. Grizzlies were certainly buzzing in the first period, 4 goals on 10 shots, as Neil Shea, Robbie Stucker, Reed Lobster, and Danny Genea have each found the back of the net in that order. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
There's 5 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Getting underway at 7 o'clock. Winnipeg is at Colorado. The Avalanche are the NHL affiliate of the Grizzlies. Colorado is 24-2-7 on the year. Winnipeg is 15-16-2. Also getting underway at 7 o'clock over at Delta Center. The 17-16-3 Utah Mammoth host the 19-14-1 New Jersey Devils. 2 games in progress after 2 periods. Carolina leads Florida 1-0. Jordan Stahl with the lone goal of the game. He scored his 10th of the year, 11:53 into the first period. And after 2 periods, Canucks lead the Islanders 3-0. Getting underway at 8 o'clock, the Dallas Stars are at the Anaheim Ducks. The Kansas City Mavericks NHL affiliate, the Seattle Kraken, are not in action tonight. Seattle probably will play tomorrow, as tomorrow's a busy night in the National Hockey League. And tomorrow the Kraken will be at San Jose. Kraken are 12-14-6 on the season. Let's see if we can get an update on that college football playoff game, which gets underway tonight. Oklahoma and Alabama. There's 3 playoff games tomorrow. Miami and Texas A&M should certainly be an interesting one. And that game should be around the end of the first quarter. Let's see if we can get a score on that game, which tonight is Oklahoma and Alabama. And right now they are early in the second quarter. Oklahoma leads Alabama 10-0. Earlier today in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Western Michigan defeated Kennesaw State 41-6. And in the Gasparilla Bowl, NC State defeated Memphis 31-7. When we come back, we'll have second period action on the other side. Boy, the Grizzlies were outstanding in the first frame, and it'll be an interesting one to see what happens here in the second. Utah leads Kansas City 4-0. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to AmericaFirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
So Utah leads Kansas City 4-0. And one of the fun things about this first period was that just about everybody contributed for the Grizzlies. And even the ones that didn't contribute statistically put in some hardworking shifts and did some good things with and without the puck. There wasn't a single power play in the first period. Utah has been pretty strong in the special teams department. They were 3 for 6 on the power play last Saturday against Atlanta. Utah does have a power play goal in 14 of their last 18 games, and the Grizzlies' penalty kill is 21 for 22 in their last 6 games. So the Grizzlies have dominated the special teams, but they didn't have to think about the special teams in the first period. That may come up later on in tonight's game. As they show the highlights of the Grizzlies' goals, and that was the fourth one if you're watching on Flow Sports. Sucker fired towards the net, rebound by Danny Genev. And how about Danny Genev? He's been one of the best rookies in the league. He came into play, tied for third among league rookies with 20 points. He now has 21 with the first period goal. And he is second among league rookies coming into play tonight with 15 assists. Utah leads 4-0. When we come back, we'll have second period action. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
There's no doubt that the Grizzlies and their fans made a lot of great memories last Saturday as Utah defeated the Atlanta Gladiators 4-0 in a game that featured a teddy bear toss after Evan Friesen's goal with about 3 minutes left in the first period. 5,770 teddy bears and stuffed animals were thrown on the ice after the goal, and then the Grizzlies scored 3 power play goals. Neil Shea, Reed Lebster, and Luke Manning each found the back of the net. And how about Reed Lebster? It was a buzzer beater as the draw was taken with 1.1 second left in the second period. Luke Manning won it cleanly, and Lebster fired it past the Atlanta goal line. And what a moment that was. That was one of the more thrilling goals of the season. And after the game, Stepan Timofeyev and his better half had a gender reveal. Stepan Timofeyev fired a puck, and then blue smoke rang through the air. And Timofeyev and his significant other are having a boy. Certainly thrilled for those two. Earlier this week, the Grizzlies did lose Griffin Ness to a deal. Usually when they say future considerations, other leagues will call that a player to be named later. And Ness turned out to be the player to be named later in a trade where the Grizzlies picked up Luke Salem on August 19th for future considerations. And that future considerations turned out to be Griffin Ness, who was one of Utah's best forwards over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But nevertheless, the Grizzlies put together a solid 20-minute performance in the first period. You know, Kansas City is going to come out with a little bit more jam and a little bit more thunder in the second period. So the Grizzlies just going to have to find a way to withstand whatever run Kansas City comes on. One of the fun things was how the Grizzlies forwards really pressured Kansas City in their own zone. Mavericks really had to work just to get the puck out to neutral ice. And the Grizzlies, they were just smothering everywhere. Wherever a Kansas City player was, there was a Grizzly. Marcus Crawford kind of thinking things over as he's skating to start the second period. Casey Crew also be out there for Kansas City. You got to watch out for Crawford. He's a plus 20 this season, and he has 20 assists in 23 games. Jack LaFontaine is still in net for Kansas City. As Casey Crew talking things over. Can't tell who's on the ice for the Grizzlies. Kansas City's in a white jersey, but they've got a little bit of orange in the middle portion of the jersey. And unfortunately, with the wide angle that Kansas City's going with, it's almost impossible to tell who's who, as it's a dark number. It looks like kind of a navy blue number with white trim on the Kansas City jersey. And that's really tough to spot on a wide angle. Grizzlies will start the second period with a forward line of Shea, Cooper Gay, and Riley Connors, and a defensive pairing of Colby Enns and Aiden Hansen-Buchanan. Kansas City gets deep in the Grizzly zone. Utah skates from left to right here in the period. Now to the left wing. Mavericks with a shot that's brushed away by Dylan Wells, who stopped all 6 Kansas City shots in the first period. Wells leads Utah with 5 victories on the season. As Grizzlies will skate around Wells' net towards the near side. As Riley Connors will now veer off to the left. He crosses center ice. Connors tried to one-hand it across towards Cooper Gay. It's tapped by a Maverick. And now towards the left wing, towards the boards. Kansas City gets taken away by Shea. Shea fires towards the net, saved by LaFontaine. And he will cover up as Cooper Gay trying to get around a Maverick to jab it. But LaFontaine's able to cover up as we get our first whistle of the second period, 46 seconds in. As Evan Friesen tried to get a stick as LaFontaine held it, Marcus Crawford just took his stick and made sure that Friesen couldn't get it. It's actually Cooper Gay's stick. And Marcus Crawford not playing nice for Kansas City this evening. As Mavericks, they don't look like a very happy team. I got to imagine Tad O'Had really gave it to him in the locker room. So draw's going to be over in the left circle. It's an offensive zone face-off for Utah. Evan Friesen will take the draw against Nolan Sullivan, who's been a Maverick for quite some time now. As Friesen sporting a mustache, puck is dropped. And Kansas City comes up with it. Mavericks skate from right to left in the second period. Kansas City crosses center ice, and they'll skip it in as the puck ricochets off the ice on 2 hops before glancing off the boards. Kansas City towards the left point. Now they get to the right wing. Mavericks right circle. Righty shot. Saved by Wells. And he holds on as Wells just slid in front of the crease to corral it. 18:56 of the time remaining in the second period. Utah leads 4-0. As they show a replay of the Kansas City shot on Flow Sports. As the Mavericks got it back around, these replays show about 10 seconds worth of insignificant action. Then they go to the right side, the righty shot, and Wells made a routine save. Shot was taken. We wanted to find out who took the shot, and then a Kansas City logo went in front of the Kansas City player. Still don't know who took the shot now off the draw. Right side shot, sticked away, and it flies out of play off the protective netting. There's now 18:52 left in the second. Grizzlies have outshot the Mavericks 12-7. Utah has a 2-1 edge in the shot count here so far in the second period. Although they counted Kansas City with a shot, now both teams have 2 in the second period. They've got Dylan Wells' stats wrong. He doesn't have an 855 save percentage on the year. It's 885 with a 3.71 goals against average. Wells seems to be a better goaltender with the more action he sees. Seems like the games where his 2 best performances as a Grizzly have come in the 2 games where he's seen more than 40 shots. Kansas City wins the draw, left wing, lefty shot, saved by Wells. Rebound goes towards John Gillette, and we get a whistle. We might have our game's first penalty. Interference is going to be the call as Riley Connors was talking things over with Nolan Sullivan. Sullivan skating towards the Kansas City bench. And if you're a Grizzlies fan, you're a little bit worried that Riley Connors, and yeah, he's skating towards the penalty box. Connors gets 2 minutes for interference. Turn your mic on, big guy. Not that I can hear you with the way I'm set up. Interference to the call. Grizzlies lead 4-0. Connors in the box with 18:46 left in the second. Kansas City's power play this year is 16%. Grizzlies' penalty kill is 83.3%, but they've been red hot as of late, stopping 21 of their last 22. Kansas City wins the draw. Crawford moves it towards the right side as Kansas City skates towards the high slot. Now they get it towards Casey Crew, fires a righty shot, and that one's blocked away by Wells. Crew gets it back. He feeds up top as Mavericks drop it for Crawford. He's in the high slot. Righty shot, saved by Wells, and he holds on. Good job by Noah Gansky and Robbie Stucker building a wall in front of Utah's crease. So 1:39 left in Kansas City's power play. Draw's going to be in the Grizzlies zone. First of a big weekend for the Grizzlies tonight and tomorrow over in Kansas City. Remember, tomorrow they're going to start an hour earlier, 5:05 in the Mountain Time Zone. Then the Grizzlies will get on a bus and head to BOK Center for a 2:05 start. That's right, a 3-3. The third game is going to be in the afternoon, and you're going to have to bus a couple hours from Kansas City to Tulsa for that third game. Mavericks have the puck, high slot, righty shot, and that one goes wide. Wells might have gotten a piece of it, as now the Mavericks are up to 11 shots. Grizzlies have 12. Kansas City left point. Crawford directs it to the right side. Now the Mavericks dancing around as they spread the ice. Kansas City will backhand it towards Crawford. He's just outside the left circle over to Crew, trying to center it. It bounces off a Grizzly, and Utah clears it out. It's kind of funny how the graphics are wrong on just about everything on the Utah side. They said the Grizzlies' penalty kill is 82.1%. It's 83.3%. As Mavericks out towards center ice. So if they show a graphic, take it with a grain of salt if it's on the Utah side, as they've missed at least 2 here. Kansas City towards the offensive zone, skeets towards the left corner. 45 seconds left in the Mavericks power play. Utah takes it away, and they will clear it all the way towards Jack LaFontaine, who skates towards the near side to outlet it to center ice. Mavericks pitch it back deep in their own zone. Pass gets misconnected. Grizzlies skate towards the left corner. Remember, Utah does have 4 shorthanded goals this season. Utah gets pushed behind LaFontaine's net. Now Maverick holds up a Grizzly that might be Genev deep in the Maverick zone. Gansky looking nearby, and the Mavericks move it back to neutral ice. Gansky and Gratton retreat as Kansas City crosses center ice, steps over the offensive line, right wing. They move it to the middle of the ice. Grizzlies get and they clear it out. Well, Utah's been on point defensively as they have challenged Kansas City at every turn. 5 seconds left in the Mavericks power play. Riley Connors comes out of the box. Utah's now 1 for 1 on the PK tonight, and 22 of their last 23. Utah steps over the offensive line, left wing. Webster dances around. He's got 2 points tonight. Skates around Kansas City's net. Now he stops on a dime. Gets towards the left wing. Lefty shot. Blocker saved by LaFontaine. Might have glanced off his glove. As Utah towards the right corner. Webster over there with Shea. As Kansas City moves it. As looks like Connors gets held up as he's trying to break free. Now Kansas City will carry it across center ice. Mavericks have numbers 4 on 3. Kansas City, they tried to center it, and Barbashev got a stick in the way. Barbashev moves out to center ice, 2-on-1 the other way. Grizzlies skate over the offensive line, left wing. Utah looked to center it to Connors and went past him as he stopped in front of the crease. And the pass misconnected. I believe that was Christian Felton on the other side trying to feed it towards Connors. Mavericks moving out to center ice. The center red line looks more orange than red over in Kansas City. Orange is the main color of the Mavericks. Cooper Gay tries to jump over or jump across the Maverick. If he jumped over a Maverick, we certainly have a story. Puck goes deep into the Grizzly zone towards the far corner. Manning's in the area as he surveys 2-on-2 scrum as the puck slides towards Manning, who cuts off a Kansas City player. As Manning gets the puck, he's got 2 assists tonight. Gets across center ice, and he'll slide it into the middle of the ice. LaFontaine cuts it off along the near goal line. Genev delivers a hit. Now the Grizzlies get it back towards the right wing. Ends, feeds it back in deep. Genev trying to dance around. He sees being held up by Maverick. Centering pass. Cooper Gay shot saved by LaFontaine. We played 5 minutes of this second period. Utah leads 4-0. Nobody has scored here so far in the middle frame. As Utah trying to get around, Cooper Gay gets hit in the back as Utah skates back towards the left corner. Grizzly avoids a hip check from a Maverick, but Utah gets divorced in the puck as Kansas City crosses center ice, but Salem's there to challenge him. As Mavericks bounce one towards the near wing boards, and they try to make a line change. Grizzlies get it ahead. It might have bounced off of Gillette. As puck deep in the Kansas City zone, Gillette delivers a hit behind Kansas City's net. As the Mavericks skate down the middle of the ice, Grizzlies back defensively. Mavericks enter from the left wing. They drop it off. Kansas City down the middle, look for a righty shot. And the Grizzlies just had too many bodies in the way. Kansas City moves it towards the left wing off a stick. And the Mavericks throw it behind the net. John Gillette shadowing a Maverick. As Kansas City gets it back towards the left wing. Now up top, lefty shot that goes wide. As Mavericks dance around, Gillette delivers a push on a Maverick. As Kansas City slides it towards the middle of the ice. Utah takes it away. Grizzlies get it to Genev. He skates down the middle of the ice to take a lefty shot. And that one goes wide. He missed the net glove side on LaFontaine. Gansky filters one through, but it goes past LaFontaine towards Utah's Kansas City end boards. Stucker towards the right point. Runs it down to keep it in. He'll feed it towards a corner. And Utah takes it away. Grizzlies look to center it. And we get a whistle. As Utah tried to get the centering pass out in front, then probably should be Utah's first power play of the game. 13:47 left in the second. Grizzlies are up 4-0. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters.
So Grizzlies have a 4-0 lead. So we're early in the second period. Kansas City's holding their teddy bear toss tomorrow against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies had 5,770 teddy bears. Draws in the Kansas City zone. As Luke Manning will take the draw against Nolan Sullivan. I believe we're skating 5-on-5. It's one of the linesman talks with Manning. Manning, the second-year pro out of Air Force in St. Thomas. Now Manning's kicked out of the face-off circle. He puts both palms in the air. He says, what did I do? Gratton will step in on against Sullivan. Gratton, the second-year pro, he played with Reading last year. As a draw won by Kansas City. And they will race out to center ice. Are skating 5-on-5. Grizzlies have not had a power play yet. Kansas City skates towards the right wing. Now they skate around Wells' net. As Mavericks get it back up top. Shot saved by Wells. He spins around in the crease. I believe that shot was taken by Nolan Sullivan, number 19. Kansas City trying to move it down the middle of the ice to a cutting crew. Pass goes wide of the mark all the way towards Jack LaFontaine. Grizzlies skate from left to right as we attempt to see the game on Flow Sports. Kansas City skating from right to left. As Mavericks off the near wing wall. Taking it is, we believe, Justin Janicki, number 28. Now deep in the Grizzlies. Shot, a score! It's 5-0 Utah. And I believe it's Maxime Barbashev getting his first as a Grizzly. Kansas City behind their net. Somehow turned it over. Barbashev skated in from the left wing, fired a wrist shot past LaFontaine. So just like that, it's 5-0 Utah. As Barbashev just had all the time in the world, got to the top of the circle, and he fired it past the Kansas City goaltender. Boy, just like that, you look down at your notes, and the Grizzlies score just out of nowhere. 5-0 Utah. They've got 5 goals on 15 shots. And the Grizzlies have goals from 5 different players. And now it's Maxime Barbashev. It might be unassisted. If there is an assist, it'd probably be John Gillette that would get it. And the Grizzlies, they've really made Kansas City work at every turn. John Gillette, left wing, his lefty shot. That one goes wide off a stick. Grizzlies will have an offensive zone draw with 12:51. That's the time remaining in the second period. Barbashev's goal is unassisted, 6:54 into the second period. Well, what can you say? The Grizzlies, they've been strong here tonight in every facet of the game. Friesen will take the draw against Jackson Judding. Judding came into play at +3 with 11 goals and 9 assists. In fact, the 11 goals lead all active Kansas City players. Grizzlies won the draw left side. Their shots blocked as Kansas City races out towards center ice. They'll move it to the left. Mavericks will skate around Colby Enns. Enns holds his ground on a Maverick who tried to get around him. As puck towards the right side, Grizzlies dance around as they avoid a check, and they'll backhand it across. As Friesen tried to bat it about waist high, it went past him. As Kansas City now back in their own zone, and it's almost like a full court press in basketball. Genev and Friesen challenge Kansas City in their own zone. Boy, the Grizzlies forwards have been unbelievable defensively tonight. Kansas City eventually gets out to neutral ice, but they had to work for it. Mavericks skate towards the right wing. They look to center, but the puck goes back towards the left side. Crawford feeds to the left goal line. Now back up top, Kansas City. Lefty shot saved by Wells, who leapt in the air about a feet and got it with his right shoulder. Now the puck towards the right corner. Kansas City dancing around as they'll drop it to the middle of the ice. Now the Mavericks will veer off to the left as they look to center it out in front, and it was overled for Landon McCollum as Kansas City lose control of the puck. Grizzlies will sky it towards center ice. It's gloved and dropped by a Maverick near the Kansas City blue line. Mavericks re-enter from the left wing as they get it back towards the right side, but it's sticked away by Friesen. Now the Mavericks skate towards the near side. They try to push it to the circle, and the Grizzlies get a stick in the way again. Kansas City keeps control of the puck as they move it towards the left corner. Mavericks cycle it around. Puck to the right side, Kansas City. Grizzlies do a good job building a little bit of a wall in front of the crease. Mavericks move it back towards the right side. Off a stick, Kansas City gets it back as they fire towards the right side. Shot, that one's blocked away. And the Grizzlies will bounce it back to center ice and beyond. It goes into the Kansas City zone. As Mavericks out towards center ice, they backhand it in. Wells cuts it off along the near side of his net. Gets it to Salem and push it out to center ice. And the Grizzlies will dump it in as they cross the center red line, although it looks more orange. Utah will reshuffle the deck and get a fresh 5-man unit on the ice. Gansky will slide it around the boards. Neil Shea, left wing. He fires towards the net, misses. Kind of a tough angle on LaFontaine. Shea, one of 5 Grizzlies players to score a goal tonight. Very balanced attack by John Buchanan's crew this evening. Kansas City enters from the left wing, dangling back and forth as they stop in the corner. As Kansas City gets held up in the corner, unfortunately, the numbers just don't pop off on the screen. As Kansas City skates back towards the right corner, they're in their offensive zone. Mavericks fire towards Wells, and it's blocked by the stick of Noah Gansky about 10 feet in front of Wells. Mavericks battle with Cooper Gay. Gansky in the area. Gay on the back check as Kansas City feeds it back up top. Mavericks left wing. That shot goes wide as puck towards the near side. Now back to the middle of the ice off a Kansas City stick. Mavericks back towards the right wing. Now across as Kansas City fires towards Wells, and he makes a save with 9:52 left in the second. Maxime Barbashev scored unassisted, and the Grizzlies extend the lead. It's Utah 5, Kansas City nothing. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Mavericks Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
Well, the Grizzlies are rolling, leading 5-0 in the opener of a 2-game series over at Cable Dahmer Arena. And then obviously the first of 3 straight days of hockey. Grizzlies will be at BOK Center on Sunday afternoon. It'll be a 2 o'clock start in the Mountain Time Zone, 3:05 over in Oklahoma. Draws over in the left circle. Looks like a pretty good Friday night crowd over at Cable Dahmer Arena. As draw won by Manning, or won by, looked like Kansas City ended up winning the face-off. They skate around Utah's net. Utah skates from left to right here in the period. As Grizzlies will bounce one towards Kansas City ice. Mavericks chase after it. And icing is on Utah with 9:39 left in the second. So Grizzlies with goals from 5 different players. In the first period, Neil Shea scored 6:52 in. A minute 57 later, it was Robbie Stucker getting his second of the year and first as a Grizzly. Reed Lebster made it a 3-0 game on a pass from Luke Manning. That was 12-10 in. Danny Genev got a rebound from a Stucker shot, 17-12 in. Gansky picked up his second assist of the game. And then Maxime Barbashev unassisted, 6:54 in. That was the lone goal so far in the second period. Mavericks off the draw, get around Manning. Now wrap around shot and a score. And Kansas City gets on the board. It looks like it's Nolan Sullivan, number 19, getting his 4th of the year. Sullivan high-fives everybody in the Kansas City bench. Sullivan took the draw against Manning, and Sullivan won the draw, fired a shot. Wells made the save, and on the wraparound, Sullivan skated around the net and fired it past Wells. So Nolan Sullivan gets his 4th of the year, and it should be unassisted. He was the only guy that touched the puck for Kansas City in that stretch. It's Sullivan's second full year as a Maverick. He had 9 goals in 69 games with Kansas City last season. Mavericks ice the puck after winning the draw. 9:26 left in the second. Faceoff's going to come back towards Jack LaFontaine. Sullivan played at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and he was a captain at Nebraska, Omaha for 2 seasons from 2022 through 2024. John Gillette will take the draw against Jackson Judding. Draw won by Kansas City. As we're halfway through the scheduled 60-minute affair, Grizzlies up 5-1. Kansas City across the center ice. They'll bounce one in. Wells tried to extend his stick to corral it, but it goes past him. Grizzlies get it up but not out. Foot race towards the far wing boards, and the Grizzlies one-handed to center ice. Cooper Gay tried to jump around a Maverick, but Kansas City has the puck. They skate in from the left wing as they fired around the boards. Hence Mukanda in the area along with Cooper Gay. Puck towards the right corner. John Gillette gets a push. Sullivan scored unassisted. Kansas City's trying to get momentum back in this game. Grizzlies trying to put together a couple hardworking shifts to take the momentum of the Kansas City goal away. As Colby ends, feeds it towards the far wing. Hustling after it's John Gillette. Puck goes back to center ice. Now into the Kansas City zone. Mavericks chase after it. Cooper Gay gets cut off. Now Gay battles with the Maverick. Boy, a hardworking shift for Cooper Gay. 6'4" and 229 pounds. And now Gay goes down behind Kansas City's net. Marcus Crawford assisted him. And it looked like Crawford tried to push his glove towards Cooper Gay, and he tried to make it look like he didn't mean to do it. Now Cooper Gay goes after Marcus Crawford. Crawford, a crafty one, who's been with the Mavericks for many years now. So Grizzlies will have an offensive zone draw. Good shift by the forward line of Cooper Gay and company. Looks like Grizzlies are kind of switching off forwards on and off a little bit as Maxime Barbashev was on the ice that particular shift. Crawford's in his 4th different season with the Mavericks. It's his second year in his second stint. He spent 2 years with the Mavericks from 2020 through 2022. Then he played in the EIHL with the Cardiff Devils for 2 years and returned last season, had nine goals and 36 assists in 68 games. And this year is averaging more than a point a game. Grizzlies move it to the left wing. Genev with a lefty shot that misses wide. As Friesen's out there with Genev and Timofeyev. As Utah gets it back toward Genev, he's in the right wing. Kansas City takes it away from him. Genev, a first-year pro out of Penn State. Mavericks out towards center ice. Grizzlies back defensively. Left wing feeds off the boards. Grizzlies will nudge it ahead. Genev chasing after it as the Maverick gets around Genev. Rink wide feed angle right off the boards. Kansas City skates down the middle of the ice. Lefty shot blocker saved by Wells. Kansas City back towards the left corner, and they'll cycle it around as Mavericks get there before Genev. Now Genev on the back check takes the puck away as he'll veer to his right, crosses center ice. Now Genev will get back towards Utah ice, and he'll fling it to his left as Evan Friesen gets the puck, and they'll slide it around. Grizzlies at the end of a shift. Felton's on the ice for Utah. Kansas City nudges one past Felton, but it goes all the way down for an icing. So the Grizzlies will have an offensive zone face-off with 7:30 left in the second. Seen consistent performances from Grizzly defensemen. Christian Felton out there with Sage Weinstein. They've really built a pretty good rapport as Weinstein kind of joined that line with Christian Felton after Garrett Pike was dealt in an American Hockey League trade. Certainly something the Grizzlies didn't want. It was obviously move the Colorado Eagles made. They picked up a forward who's been with Colorado and he's contributed. But unfortunately, the Grizzlies lost a good defenseman in Garrett Pike and didn't get anything in return for him. Connors will take the drives out there with Cooper Gay and Neil Shea. As Connors wearing number 12, he crouches down. I believe it was number 42 at the end of last season for the Grizzlies. That's what Felton's wearing now. Felton gets the puck as he skates towards the left point. Grizzlies dance around as Felton fires towards the net. Kick saved by LaFontaine. Mavericks race out towards center ice. Linesman gets in the way. And Utah comes back with the puck. Weinstein slides it back towards Wells. It kicks it back to Weinstein to keep the play alive. Weinstein, rink wide feed, head towards Shea, but it goes past him. Kansas City deep in their own zone. About 7 minutes left in the second period. Utah leads 5-1. Grizzlies have goals from 5 different players. Kansas City enters from the right wing. Now they veer off to the middle of the ice. Lefty shot. Rebound shot. Oh, saved by Wells, I believe, on that second attempt. And he keeps it a 5-1 game. Boy, Dylan Wells, he's been alive, awake, and alert tonight for the Grizzlies. Utah skates in. Connors down the middle of the ice. His righty shot's blocked as the puck ricochets off the near wing boards. Grizzlies skate from left to right as we see it from Flow Sports. Puck to center ice. Kansas City will bounce one in towards the far side. Mavericks are in the middle of a line change. Salem collects the puck and he'll slide it to his right. As Lepster dangles back and forth, skates over the offense line with momentum. He'll take a righty shot, saved by LaFontaine. Rebound goes to the middle of the ice. Kansas City gets it. Mavericks race across center ice. Utah on the back check, but Kansas City gets around Utah. Unfortunately, these numbers are pretty difficult to spot. Left wing, lefty shot is blocked. It was blocked by, it looked like Manning. Boy, it looked like Manning skating towards Manning. That might have been Genev, as Genev is limping towards the Grizzlies bench. Kansas City left wing, righty shot, saved by Wells. Collision in front of the crease. And the Utah goaltender holds on as Nolan Sullivan got physical with the Grizzly. And that was Luke Salem. Salem and Sullivan get back to their feet. Dylan Wells taps Salem and thanks him for a good effort. 6:01 left in the second period. Drawn's going to be in the Grizzly zone. Well, it's kind of interesting. Both the Mavericks and Grizzlies have been better clubs on the road this season. Utah's 7-5-1 on the road, and Kansas City is 9-1-1-1 on the road. Mavericks are just 6-5 at home. In fact, the road teams in this league have won more games than home teams. Go figure. I guess the hotels have been pretty good for teams in the league this year. As Grizzlies talk things over, 5-man unit. As Riley Connors will take the drives out there with John Gillette and Maxime Barbashev in a defensive pairing of Noah Gansky and Robbie Stucker. And Stucker certainly made a strong contribution for the Grizzlies. He was acquired last week in a trade for Ty Voigt. Stucker had been playing for Reading. In fact, he had been with Reading for a year plus. A year and change. Remember, he did end the 2023-24 season with the Grizzlies and had 9 assists in 24 games. Kansas City rolls along the boards towards the right side. Now Gansky gets the puck as there's 5:46 on a moving clock, second period. Utah out towards center ice. Shea gets around one Maverick. He gets the puck on the right side off the boards. Now to Connors. He centers it, looking for Barbashev. And Barbashev just didn't have much of an angle to collect the pass as Kansas City will carry it across center ice. Mavericks stride along the left wing, step over the offense line, backhand feed towards the middle, is brushed away by Gansky. Now Gansky gets hit, and a Maverick is laying on top of a Grizzly. Centering pass shot saved by Wells, and the Grizzlies clear it back to center ice. Kansas City skates horizontally around their logo at center ice, which is KC with the top side of K and the top side of C in white and the bottom half of the letters in orange. Left corner scrum, 3 Grizzlies, 2 Mavericks. Is Barbashev looking nearby. He's kind of dancing around like a nervous boy at a school dance. Should I ask? Should I ask? Kansas City back towards the right wing. Right side, shot goes wide. At least that's what I was like in the school dance. I was always the one in the corner, too shy to ask for anybody. Oh, I usually get rejected when I do ask. Never mind. Back to the game. Kansas City back towards the right goal line. They center it. Righty shot, see, rebound shot, and a score. And it's now a 5-2 game. And Will Gavin's fired up. He gets his first of the year. As everybody goes to congratulate him, it's a 5-2 game with 4:35 left in the second. That's his second pro goal. He had 1 goal in 17 games of the Allen Americans, assuming it's Gavin. Initial shot was taken from the right wing. Gavin got the rebound, and he put it away. There's a backhand dish towards the middle of the ice. Initial shot was taken by Jimmy Glenn. And Glenn had to bounce off of Wells. And Will Gavin was out in front of the crease. And with good hands, was able to backhand it under Wells. So Gavin gets his first goal as a Maverick, and it's his second pro goal. He had 1 goal in 17 games with Allen last year. Jimmy Glenn should get one of the assists. That would be his second of the year. So it's a 5-2 Grizzlies lead, but Kansas City scored 2 unanswered. Mavericks cross center ice, and they'll zip it in. Puck got somewhere under it towards the left corner. As Grizzlies skate from left to right here in the period. As Weinstein will get it back towards the far side. And it's a good thing that something happened in the game. We didn't want it to be a Kansas City goal. Felton will bounce one towards LaFontaine, who covers up. Grizzlies get an offensive zone, draws a result of it. 4:07's left in the second period. I guess what I was trying to say is I didn't get any dances over in junior high or high school. Grizzlies lead 5-2 on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to AmericaFirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Now the Grizzlies have a 5-2 lead, but Kansas City, and you got to credit them. I mean, they've got the record they have for a reason. They've put together a pretty solid effort. We mentioned in the pregame report, but it's kind of crazy. Tado had the Kansas City coaches in his 6th season behind the bench for the Mavericks. In his first 3 years with Kansas City, he had a record of 97, 94, and 25. And then the Mavericks signed up to be affiliated with the Seattle Kraken, and after that, Mavericks are 118, 36, and 11. As they're in their 3rd season as a Kraken affiliate, Grizzlies have the puck deep in their own zone. They dance around. Sage Weinstein will backhand it across in a hot pass, tape to Timofeyev. He'll drop it. Skating over the offense line's Friesen. He gets bounced to the boards. Deep in the Kansas City zone, Mavericks swing it around the boards. There are 2 former Grizzlies on the Kansas City roster, and they're both scratches tonight. Defenseman Luke Lemaster and Kyle Powell. As Mavericks back deep in their own zone, they dance around. Grizzlies forwards in particular have been unbelievable at challenging Kansas City in their own zone. They're making the Mavericks work almost like a full court press in basketball. They're making the Mavericks work every inch of the ice. Genev centering pass, lefty shot, kick save by LaFontaine. Boy, Friesen was robbed by Friesen. LaFontaine robbed Friesen. Kansas City ices it down. 3:13 left in the second period. I got to think if Kansas City's production is worth anything, they're going to show a replay of that great save by LaFontaine, who kicked his left pad out as Genev found a cutting Evan Friesen out in front of the net. So Draw's going to be over in the right circle. A little bit surprised they didn't show that replay as the Kansas City goaltender made a grade A stop. Connors takes a draw against Sullivan as Mavericks win the faceoff. Grizzlies spread the ice as, once again, they are challenging Kansas City in their own zone, and they are doing a great job of it. It really does look like hockey's version of a full court press, or as we called it, a mother-in-law defense, smothering all in your face for 200 by 85 feet of ice. As Grizzlies get the puck, Cooper Gay races towards the left wing. He'll drop it back behind him. The only guy there, though, unfortunately, is a Maverick. As Kansas City dumps in towards the left wing. Mavericks towards the left goal line. They stop on a dime. Grizzlies get back defensively. Kansas City left wing. Righty shot goes wide. It ricochets off the inboards. Wells dives to try to cover up. He couldn't reach it. Grizzlies race out to center ice. Shea, like a bolt of lightning, steps over the offensive zone. Right side. Kansas City catches up with them. As Mavericks will move it out to neutral ice. Cooper Gay comes off after a hard-working shift at center ice. Gratton gets nudged in the side, trying to one-hand it to Manning. Now the puck goes back to the right wing. Webster will bounce one in. LaFontaine cuts it off with his stick. Now the Grizzlies' sharp-angled shot goes wide. They try to bounce it off of LaFontaine's back. Webster towards the right side. He's in the circle. He pitches up top to Gansky, who directs it to the left side. Stucker one-timer. And that one gets blocked with so much traffic out in front of LaFontaine. Now Stucker fires towards the net. It's sticked away by the Kansas City goaltender, Jack LaFontaine, who's been with them for quite a while. Kansas City overskates the puck. Now they get back towards center ice, and they'll pitch it in as the Grizzlies regather it. Utah will plop it back towards Kansas City ice. So we have about 1:38 left in the second period. Grizzlies lead 5-2, but Kansas City has responded with 2 unanswered. Mavericks over the line. They get around one Grizzly. Left wing, lefty shot saved by Wells, and he holds on with 1:29 left in the second. So Draw's giving me the Grizzly zone. Kansas City trying to get a little bit of momentum heading into the second intermission locker room, and the Grizzlies trying to find a way to get momentum back. As Wells has looked solid in net so far tonight for the Grizzlies. He may have to go, and it'll be interesting with the goaltender movement. Kyle Kaiser was recalled to Colorado earlier today, and we're not sure about Casimir Casasuo. He was suspended by team, and if you follow this league, over the years, you kind of know what that means. It usually means you sign with a team in Europe, which would be unfortunate. The Grizzlies are down to an emergency backup for the 3-game series unless they sign somebody later on this weekend. And if they don't sign somebody, that means Wells will probably play all 3 games. 3 games in under 48 hours leading up to the Christmas break. As Grizzlies bounce it deep into the Kansas City zone, about 1:06 left in the second. As Kansas City out towards center ice, Grizzlies challenge them. As Genev races towards the puck, and he gets to the right wing, but it's off his stick. Kansas City gets the puck at center ice. Now the Mavericks have a 2-on-1. Mavericks towards the right side, but the whistle appeared to blow. 52.7 seconds left in the second period as the Mavericks were offside. Grizzlies 5 goals on 21 shots. They scored 5 goals in their first 15 shots of the game. Kansas City 2 goals on 25 shots. And they show Will Gavin. He scored Kansas City's second goal on a rebound from a Jimmy Glenn shot. Lucas Salder also picked up an assist. That was his second of the year. Utah wins the draw. Less than a minute left in the second period. Grizzlies 4 goals in the first, 1 in the second. Kansas City no goals in the first and 2 in the second. Deep in the Kansas City zone, Mavericks will backhand it across. Both teams spread the ice. Kansas City will pitch it towards Utah ice. It's off a stick. Shea chasing after along with Cooper Gay. And Utah's called for icing with 31.4 seconds left in the second. But Utah's defensive strategy has really been on point here so far tonight. And it's really been a full court press. It's really been end to end. Grizzlies are challenging Kansas City at every point of the ice. The Grizzlies have done a great job with it defensively, and that defense has turned into offense. That's where the Barbashev goal came into play in the second period. As Kansas City turned it over, and Barbashev was able to get a good scoring chance in the left wing off it, and he was able to capitalize for his first goal as a Grizzly. Linesman says, my bad. We'll drop it again. Face-offs over in the right circle, which is the far side. It's in the Grizzlies zone. I believe Riley Connors has taken the drop against Jackson Berezowski. Berezowski, 2 goals and 3 assists in 20 games. Second-year Maverick. As Grizzlies get the puck, they'll slide it ahead. Cooper Gay will bounce it to center ice. Grizzlies cross center. Neil Shea will fire on towards LaFontaine. LaFontaine will slide it back towards the far side. Connors gets there about the same time as the Maverick. Utah left wing shot. And that one goes wide. LaFontaine tried to reach his glove behind his back as if he were going to try to make a save. As the puck ended up over him. Kansas City out to center ice. 5 seconds left in the period. As Mavericks enter from the left wing, they'll get it across at the buzzer. Lefty shot, save. And the Mavericks saw they had a look there at the near goal line, and Wells dove to keep it a 5-2 game, and that's where we sit after 40 minutes of play. As the puck bounced, and they show a replay in Kansas City towards the buzzer. They missed a goal by a couple inches. Like Kansas City there at the buzzer came very close to making it a 5-3 game. As Maxwell Smart would say, missed it by that much. Grizzlies 5, Kansas City 2. When we come back, we'll talk some hockey and go over the first 40 minutes of play. Interestingly enough, the Grizzlies haven't had a power play yet. Utah is 1 for 1 on the penalty kill. They're now 22 of their last 23 on the PK. Shots, Kansas City has the edge 26-22, but it's the Grizzlies that have goals from 5 different players, and Utah leads 5-2 heading into the third period. We'll come back and talk some hockey on the other side. You've been tuned into the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Tonight's game is brought to you by the ECHL, celebrating its 38th season of affordable family entertainment. The ECHL would like to thank everyone in attendance for your support of ECHL hockey. The ECHL would also like to recognize the following league sponsors: AMI Graphics, exclusive signage provider; Athletic Knit, official jersey supplier; Baron Rings, official championship ring supplier; BFL Canada Insurance and Sutton Special Risk, sponsors of the 2026 ECHL Hall of Fame induction ceremony; Dash, official mobile auction platform; The Fairley Group, official commercial insurance provider; Flow Sports, exclusive streaming provider; Hotel Planner, official hotel reservations partner; Howie's Hockey Tape, exclusive hockey tape and lace provider; In Glasgow, exclusive puck provider; Prolific One, exclusive secondary ticketing partner; and Warrior, exclusive on-ice equipment provider and title sponsor of the 2026 ECHL All-Star Classic. Catch all of the ECHL action live in high definition by logging on to flowhockey.tv.
Grizzlies lead 5-2 after 2 periods. I'm Tyson Whiting. Kansas City put together a pretty good rally in the second half of the second period. At the buzzer, well, the Kansas City, their shot from the right point, well, it didn't miss by much. Dylan Wells has saved 24 of 26 as he's been solid in net for Utah. You got to hand it to the Grizzlies. They outshot the Mavericks 11-6 in the first period. Utah certainly was the aggressor, both offensively and defensively, as really every phase of the game. First period, the Grizzlies dominated. Utah got on the board 6:52 win as Neil Shea got his 7th of the year. Cooper Gay and Noah Gansky picked up the assists. Utah extended the lead. A minute 57 later, 8:49 in, it was Robbie Stucker getting his 2nd of the year as he helicoptered the puck from the right point. Reed Lebster and Luke Manning with the assist. And it was really Lebster that made the play as he was over in the left circle and just kind of skated horizontally towards the net. Maverick was over there as well. Looked like Lepster and the Maverick got pretty close towards LaFontaine, and LaFontaine just extended his blocker to try to make a stop. And I think LaFontaine got his own guy with the blocker, and the puck ended up trickling through as Stucker got his first goal as a Grizzly. He had 1 goal in 17 games with the Reading Royals earlier this season. Utah extended the lead to 3-0 as Reed Lepster scored 12-10 in. Luke Manning picked up his second assist of the night. And then the Grizzlies made it a 4-0 game as Danny Genev got his 6th of the year. Robbie Stucker took a one-timer from the left side that bounced off of LaFontaine, and Genev battled and hustled his way through Hudson Wilson, got the puck, and he fed it past the goal line. Genev with his 6th of the year, Stucker and Noah Gansky with the assists. Early in the second period, Grizzlies got back on the board as Maxim Barbashev collected the puck after Kansas City turned it over. Barbashev skated towards the left circle and fired a lefty shot for his first goal as a Grizzly. It was unassisted, 6:54 in. Kansas City outshot Utah 20-11 in the second period. Mavericks got on the board as Nolan Sullivan won a faceoff against Manning, skated around Manning, took a shot. Wells made the save, and then Wells had a tough time spotting it. Sullivan got it back, and on a wraparound was able to slide it past the goal line as Nolan Sullivan, unassisted, got his 4th of the year, 10:25 in. And then exactly 5 minutes later, it was Will Gavin scoring on a rebound on a Jimmy Glenn shot. Glenn and Lucas Salder each picked up an assist as Gavin, according to the graphic, they said he scored his first pro goal. And when they had an interview with Will Gavin on Flow Sports, it's actually a second, unless the Kansas City game notes are wrong. He had 1 goal in 17 games with the Allen Americans last season. Kansas City with the slide edge in the shot count, 26-22. Kansas City's 0 for 1 on the power play, the only penalty of the game. Riley Connors got an interference minor, 1:14 into the second period. So Utah doesn't have a power play, which is certainly odd considering how hard the Grizzlies have played in the first 40 minutes, utilizing their speed. And with that, you'd almost expect to draw some penalties and get some power plays, but the Grizzlies haven't had any here so far tonight. In terms of who's been aggressive shooting the puck, well, Neil Shea always is. He leads Utah with 4 shots. Neil Shea recently has just been a machine in terms of taking shots. He has 34 shots in his last 7 games coming into play tonight, and he has 62 shots on goal in 18 games. So he's already passed his average with 4 shots here through 2 periods to lead the Grizzlies. Robbie Stucker, 1 goal on 3 shots. Reed Lepster and Danny Genev each have 1 goal on 3 shots. Christian Felton and Maxim Barbashev each have 2 shots. One of Barbashev's 2 shots found the back of the net. And then a few other Grizzlies with 1 shot through 40 minutes of play. For the Kansas City Mavericks and their 26 shots, Luke Lowhite leads the way with 4. David Cotton, Nolan Sullivan, and Jack Randall each have 3 shots, and a few other Mavericks with 2 shots, and that includes Judding and Jake McLaughlin, as well as Will Gavin, was 1 goal on 2 shots. Unfortunately, the Kansas City jerseys, they just don't pop off the screen. It's kind of an orange middle of the jersey, and for whatever reason, instead of having a white number to kind of stand out with the orange, it's a dark number. And unfortunately, we've had a tough time identifying Kansas City players all game long. We'll see if the Grizzlies can put together a pretty good third period effort. You got to tip your hat to Kansas City. They've been a pretty strong team over the last couple years. And even though they were down 5-0, I think some people will be a little bit surprised that LaFontaine stayed out there. You would have thought that maybe Tato had, even if it wasn't LaFontaine's fault, they would have pulled him to maybe get a spark going. But nevertheless, Grizzlies just played pretty hard in the first 40 minutes. When leading after 2 periods so far this season, the Grizzlies have a record of 7-0-1. When either leading or tied after 2 periods, Grizzlies have a record of 10-2-1. Grizzlies have been a pretty strong team when scoring 4 or more. I mean, most teams usually are when they score 4 or more, but when scoring 3 or more, Grizzlies so far this season are 9-4, and obviously the Grizzlies already have 5 goals in tonight's game. What's the season high total for goals in a game for the Grizzlies so far this season? It is 6. That's been set twice. Utah scored 6 goals against Jacksonville on October 30th. That's the game where Danny Genev scored his first 3 professional goals. and Utah had 6 goals at Allen on December 6th. It is a Friday. Grizzlies are a pretty decent team on Fridays. They're 4-4-1 on Fridays this year. Really, the day of the week the Grizzlies have gotten the job done have been Saturdays. Utah's 5-1-1 on Saturdays this season. So those are a couple numbers. Some of them are significant. Some of them really aren't. But we're having some fun here on a Friday night, and we're hanging out just outside the Grizzlies team store at Mavericks Center. Hopefully you're able to get some Christmas shopping done, and if not, you're going to have to find a way to do some last-minute shopping here over the next few days. Grizzlies are up 5-2 after 2 periods. When we come back, we'll go over some other scores from across the league. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Mavericks Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
Utah leads 5-2 after 40 minutes of play. Other action across the 4-letter league. Greensboro shuts out Wheeling 3-0. So the Gargoyles get their 7th victory of the season. A goaltender with a very long last name gets a 34-save shutout. Greensboro 3 and Wheeling 0. South Carolina gets a shutout, 2-0 victory over the Orlando Solar Bears. And that game was played at Kia Center, which is also home of the Orlando Magic. And it was Easley getting a 25-save shutout for South Carolina. Reading defeats Adirondack 5-3. Reading scored 3 goals in the first period and cruised to victory. No former Grizzlies with goals on either team. Savannah gets a 3-2 victory over Florida. Former Grizzly Taryn Fizer scored 4:48 into the second period for the Everblades. Savannah's record goes to 10-10-2-1, and Florida drops to 17-6-1-1. Late third period, Tuam Revere leads Maine 3-1. Worcester defeats Jeff Carr's Norfolk Admirals 3-2. No former Grizzly on the scoring sheet there. Atlanta gets a 3-2 victory over Jacksonville. Atlanta scored 2 in the first and 1 in the second. Jacksonville 1 in the first and 1 in the third. Toledo leads Iowa 5-2. That game with about 2 minutes left in regulation. Kalamazoo leads Bloomington 5-1. That game has 13 minutes left in the third period. Former Grizzly Griffin Ness is making his Kalamazoo debut. If you joined us late, he was traded to Kalamazoo to complete the trade where Utah acquired Luke Salem for future considerations on August 19th. Other sports may call future considerations, call it the term a player to be named later. And Griffin Ness turned out to be the player to be named later, and certainly not something the Grizzlies wanted, as he's been one of Utah's best forwards this season. But unfortunately, with future consideration trades, sometimes sometimes you end up losing a player you don't necessarily want to give up. Former Grizzly Derek Dashke has a goal for Kalamazoo, 1954 into the first. Dashke had one of the best years that a Grizzly defenseman ever had. He was first-team All-League with Utah last season. Late second period, Tulsa and Allen are tied at 2. Grizzlies will face the Tulsa Oilers on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Blaisdell and Caddick have the Allen goals. Tulsa has Weeb and Armstrong. Goals from those two skaters. After 20 minutes over at Idaho Central Arena, Rush lead the Steelheads 3-1. That's certainly an interesting one. Getting underway in about 10 minutes from now, Wichita is at Tahoe. So Rapid City with a road lead over Idaho. Remember, the Idaho Steelheads are going to be the Grizzlies' opponent the first 2 days after Christmas, December 26th and 27th. The Mavericks Center. Get your tickets to UtahGrizzlies.com. And don't forget, that's the last 2 games the Grizzlies will ever have against the Idaho Steelheads, which is certainly odd. Think about it. If it's baseball, that'd be like if the Yankees and Red Sox didn't play after July 4th, or in other words, the last 3 months of the season. Dodgers, Yankees, you can think about any rivalry. It's crazy that the Grizzlies don't play their arch rival in the second half of the season. So you're going to want to make sure to get your tickets and make some memories. Hey, it could be a stocking stuffer. After all, you can ask Santa for some tickets to the Grizzlies and Steelheads, December 26th and 27th. And it should be a festive atmosphere And, if you're thinking about last-minute gifts, that would certainly be a good gift to give a family member or a friend. Tickets to the Grizzlies and the Idaho Steelheads is, for my money, the best rivalry in the league. Concludes on Saturday, December 27th, the final regular season meeting ever between the Grizzlies and Steelheads. 5 games in the National Hockey League, and in 30 seconds, we'll give you those scores. Utah leads 5-2 after 2 periods as Utah has first period goals from Neil Shea, Robbie Stucker, Reed Lobster, and Danny Geneva, and a second period goal from Maxime Barbashev. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Five games in the National Hockey League tonight. The Grizzlies NHL affiliate, the Colorado Avalanche, lead the Winnipeg Jets 2-0. Brent Burns and Martin Necas have the Colorado goals. Nathan McKinnon does have 1 assist. He's certainly the strong favorite for the Hart Trophy after this season. Mammoth lead the Devils 1-0 after 1 period. Daniel Boots got his first as a pro, or his first NHL goal. He does have some goals in the minors. Boots scored 9:35 into the first. It was a power play goal assisted by Sean Dursey. In overtime, Hurricanes and Panthers are currently tied at 3. One final in the National Hockey League. Canucks defeat the Islanders 4-1. And getting underway a few minutes from now, the Stars are at the Anaheim Ducks. So how about that for the Mammoth? They lead the Devils 1-0, even though the Devils about shot the Mammoth 9-7. Flow Sports are showing some highlights of the second period as they show the second goal. It was scored by Will Gavin. They had a graphic that said it was his first pro goal, but he did score one with Allen at the end of last season. So Gavin certainly fired up. It was interesting to see. Now, some teams, now I'm not going to say this about Kansas City, but some teams, when it's a 5-1 game or a 5-2 game, you score that goal to cut into the lead, you usually don't celebrate that much. You see when the Grizzlies, they get a third period goal and they're down big, you don't see really any celebration at all. But Kansas City got pretty fired up after their 2 goals. They try to climb back into the game. Grizzlies scored the first 5 goals of the contest, 4 in the first period, and Maxime Barbashev in the second in Kansas City. And, hey, they've got a pretty good record for a reason. They just kept battling. We'll see what happens here in the third. It's the Grizzlies 5 and the Mavericks 2. We'll come back with third period action on the other side. You've been tuned into the Intermission Report on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
We're 20, and yeah, we're celebrating big. Because in 20 years, we didn't just make the gear. We made hockey cooler. They said we were too loud, too flashy, too different. They told us to tone it down. The Warriors don't tone it down. We go full throttle. And this is just the start. 20 years in and we're just getting warmed up. We're still the brand that makes the gear you can win in, chirping, and partying. And if you thought we were bold before, just wait. The next 20 years start now.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
The Grizzlies lead the Kansas City Mavericks 5-2. And hopefully we'll have some Grizzlies games at home next week. There are some rumors circulating about a potential player strike, but hopefully we'll have some action at Mavericks Center December 26th and 27th. Those stories have kind of been circulating over the last few hours, but after after this weekend's games, that there is a possibility, and the collective bargaining agreement has not been signed by the players after this weekend. So I think of baseball in 1994. That was certainly a bad ending to that year. But hey, we're having some hockey. We're having a good time here tonight, and we'll have a good time the rest of this weekend. Remember, the Grizzlies will face Kansas City at 5:05 on Saturday, and Sunday afternoon at 2:05 before the Christmas break. To start the third period, we'll see if we can get a shot of who the five on the ice for the Grizzlies are. Utah sometimes does mix things up as to who's the five on the ice to start each period. Looks like it's Riley Connors crouching down to take the draw against Jackson Berezowski. Nope, I was wrong. It's Evan Friesen taking the drives out there with Timofeyev and Genev as the Grizzlies start with a different forward line for each of the three periods. Grizzlies skate from right to left as we attempt to see the game on Flow Sports. Utah right side shot saved by LaFontaine, and he holds on. That shot was taken by Stepan Timofeyev, who's got 6 goals and 6 assists so far this season. It's the 23rd shot taken by the Grizzlies tonight, and that was 14 seconds into the third period. So Friesen will take the drives out there with Timofeyev and Genev. Neither team switched skaters at the whistle 14 seconds into the third. Utah wins the draw. High slot. Salem fired it in deep. Looked like more of a pass to get it in deep than a shot. Kansas City bounced it back to center ice. Salem rolls it back in. LaFontaine behind his net. Marcus Crawford will drift it ahead. Crawford, a +20 this season. He's been a little bit quiet tonight as Kansas City overleads the pass to the Utah line. Genev gets it, and he'll slice one north-south. Grizzlies race towards the left goal line as Timofeyev trying to feed it up top towards Weinstein. Now Kansas City in control. Grizzlies really have done a good job playing a 200 by 85-foot game. Grizzlies forwards are really challenging Kansas City in the Kansas City zone, making the Mavericks work for every piece of real estate on the ice. As Kansas City moves it towards the right wing, Mavericks skate towards the right goal line. As I think that's Marcus Crawford, feeds it towards the left circle. Righty shot, and that one goes wide. A little bit of traffic out in front of Dylan Wells as puck slides deep into the Kansas City zone. As Kansas City gets it back towards the far side as they're still in their own end. And once again, the Grizzlies forwards challenging Kansas City to get it out towards neutral ice. Grizzlies are making Kansas City work for everything tonight. Grizzlies bank one off the left wing boards. Shea was overled, and it's icing on Utah with 18:30. That's the time remaining in this third period. So faceoff's going to come back towards Dylan Wells, the former Edmonton Oilers draft pick. And Wells has had a solid game. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. Some goalies we've noticed, seems like the more action they see in a particular game, the better they get. And Wells seems to be that type of guy. The more shots he sees, the more confidence he builds, and the more some goalies, they don't like seeing 24 shots in a game. Dylan Wells might be one of those guys, and you can argue that the two best games he's played have been the two where he's seen 40-plus shots. In both of those cases, I think more than 45 shots. Grizzlies at neutral ice will fire on to LaFontaine as LaFontaine keeps the play alive. Kansas City crosses center ice. Grizzlies build a wall at the blue line. Mavericks skate around the man in the middle as Kansas City skates towards the right corner. Utah takes it away. Grizzlies with a 2-on-2. Utah over the offensive line as Gillette down the middle of the ice takes a lefty shot, saved by LaFontaine, and he will hold on with 18:04 left in the third. Grizzlies are one of the faster teams in the league, and Utah has really done a good job playing that end-to-end game and utilizing their speed. As Lebster, for a guy that seems to be a pretty big guy, pretty strong guy, he moves around outstanding. Dropped it to John Gillette, who had a pretty good look that LaFontaine made the save on. And so the Grizzlies tonight are really doing a good job utilizing their team's speed. And Kansas City is one of the faster teams over the last couple of years. The first time these teams met this season. And the Grizzlies really have done a good job utilizing the entire portion of the ice, utilizing their speed. As face-off, looks like we'll stay. The linesman says, my bad, we'll do it over again. As John Gillette's out there. Grizzlies are rolling with 11 forward, so it's not necessarily the same three rolling with a 4-line stretch. Sometimes it's Lebster playing with Gillette and Barbashev. In this case, it's Gillette playing with, I think, Timofeyev and Lebster. As Kansas City skies it into Grizzlies ice, left wing, lefty shot goes wide as they miss the net glove side on Wells. Back towards the near side, John Gillette will bounce it off the boards. As Marcus Crawford will feed it towards the right goal line. Mavericks Guided around towards the left wing. It's Kansas City dancing around there in the offensive zone. It's 5-2 Utah. As Kansas City tries to split a double team. Webster at tap off his skate. Puck goes back to neutral ice. Kansas City back in their own end. Grizzlies skate from right to left during the period. Kansas City feeds back towards the Utah line. As getting the puck is Colby Ends. He'll slice one angle left. It goes past Timofeyev off his stick. Puck deep into the Kansas City zone. Timofeyev delivers a blow on a Kansas City skater. I think that's Crawford. Puck slides back towards the near circle. Kansas City gets it, and they'll race out towards neutral ice. And Friesen with a good blow on a Maverick. So Utah's played a physical brand of hockey as well. Friesen over the offensive line stops in the left point. And so he'll drop it off. Weinstein's in the area, so is Timofeyev off of Timofeyev's stick. Kansas City clears it back to center ice. Weinstein will loft it back in. Kansas City gets along the near circle as the Mavericks spread the ice. 3.5 minutes into the third period. It's 5-2 Utah. As the Mavericks get to the near side, they race out to center ice. Grizzlies build the wall at the Utah line. Kansas City gets around the Utah wall. Bounces off the near side, but the Grizzlies take it away. Daniel Genev races along the left wing. Now looking for a backhand shot, and Kansas City on the back check spun him around and took the puck away. Mavericks out to center ice. They're surrounded by 3 Grizzlies. They dump it in. Unfortunately, those numbers are a dark number with an orange jersey. Unfortunately, it's tough to spot unless you can zoom in on the jerseys just a little bit. As a Maverick goes down, and that's Casey Crew. He's holding his face. So it's going to be a power play for Kansas City. Noah Gansky goes to the box. And if it's high sticking, they got to check to see if it's 2 minutes or 4 minutes. 16:03 is left. And it looks like it's just a 2-minute penalty. So Noah Gansky gets a minor penalty for high sticking. Emil Sharon makes the signal, makes the call. Interestingly enough, he was the same referee that was at Mavericks Center last week for all 3 games. So this is the 4th straight Grizzlies game where they've had the same referee. As Gansky, I tried to lift Casey Crew's stick and got him up high. We've seen that. That's kind of a common high sticking penalty where you're battling and you got your stick and they've got their stick and you're just trying to lift their stick, and instead of getting the stick, you get their face. So Gansky, the big 6'7", 205-pound defenseman, they show him in the penalty box. Second penalty kill for the Grizzlies tonight. Utah wins the draw, and they'll tattoo it off the near wing boards all the way down towards Jack LaFontaine. It's Kansas City back deep in their own zone. John Gillette delivers a push, and once again, Grizzlies forwards are just challenging Kansas City on every spot of the ice. Crawford gets it towards center ice. Now the Mavericks center from the left wing. They try to get it back on a give and go. Bouncing puck behind Wells' net. Now back up top. Casey Crew gets it to the middle of the ice. Back to Crew, sporting a beard. Skates towards the right circle, take a righty shot. And that one goes out of play, as well as kind of slid to his left, back to his right. A lot of traffic out in front. It's Casey Crew. Twirled the stick back and forth. Crew's been one of the hottest Kansas City players as of late, as he has 8 points in his last 6 games, 4 goals and 4 assists. It's kind of funny. They've got the wrong statistic on the penalty kill, as Grizzlies came into play with an 83.3% penalty kill, and they got it at 82.1%. Kansas City wins the draw as Grizzlies take it away on the near side. If this were an NHL game, it'd be all over awful announcing, and everybody'd be all over it on social media. Puck towards the far side as Kansas City takes away. Now they move it back to center ice. Kansas City steps over the offensive blue as they'll bounce one towards the right circle. Unfortunately, we're not as specific on names we'd love to be with those jerseys. Mavericks get up top. Marcus Crawford will slide it towards the right side, just outside the circle. Now they feed it to the right goal line. Back up top. Kansas City drops for Crawford. He slides a righty shot, saved by Wells. Grizzlies get it, and they clear it out. 45 seconds left in Kansas City's power play. As Mavericks to the right wing, cross the center red line, although it looks more orange than red as they dump it in. I think you get some of those shades of orange, and it does look like red. Like Texas, kind of a burnt orange, but this is a little bit more of a brighter shade of orange. Grizzlies get it deep in the Kansas City zone behind LaFontaine's net. 25 seconds left in the Mavericks power play. Their second of the game. As Kansas City towards the right side. As they enter around 4 Grizzlies, Kansas City gets it tapped away towards the left wing. As Mavericks dance around, 13 seconds left in the power play. Up top, as Zach Ewens will dance around with the blue line nearby. Now righty shot saved, or right wing lefty shot saved by Wells. Grizzlies clear it out. Coming out of the box is Noah Gansky, and the Grizzlies are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill and 23 of their last 24 over the last 6+ games. Weinstein overskates the puck. It goes to center ice. Kansas City will bounce into the middle of the ice. Grizzlies come up with it as there's less than 14 minutes left in the third period. Nobody scored here in the final frame. Grizzlies lead 5-2. Utah scored the first 5 goals of the game. Kansas City responded with 2 goals in the final 10 minutes of the second. Grizzlies will shovel it in, chasing towards the left corner. I believe it's Timofeyev. He gets bounced towards the boards. And now the puck slides up top in the Kansas City zone. Grizzlies will bounce it off a Maverick. It goes to neutral ice. Geneyev continues his battle. He gets held up by a Kansas City stick. Mavericks still in their own zone, and Geneyev just challenges Kansas City along the way. Mavericks get around Geneyev, cross center ice, and they'll plop one in. Wells behind his net. As Weinstein slices it along the boards. Kansas City towards the left wing. Lefty shot. And that one bounced off of Wells' glove and goes out of play off the protective netting. 13:06 left in the third period. Utah leads 5-2. This is the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
It's Utah 5, Kansas City 2. First of a 2-game series. First time these teams have met this season. Kansas City, it's their third straight pretty solid year. They're 15-6-1-1. Grizzlies have been a strong road club. They're 7-5-1 on the road. They scored the first 5 goals of the game. Kansas City responded with 2 unanswered. These teams are scheduled to meet 5 times during the regular season, 2 at Cable Dahmer Arena, which is tonight and tomorrow, and then 3 games at Mavericks Center later on in the season. Kansas City will be at Mavericks Center on January 16th, 17th, and 18th. John Gillette will take the draw against Jackson Berezowski. Faceoffs in the Grizzlies zone. Left circle, Grizzlies skate from right to left in the third period. Utah wins the draw. Gansky will move it to the near side. Grizzlies long-range feed as it goes past Reed Lebster. Oh, they called icing, but I thought Lebster is behind the Kansas City defense. Well, I'm not sure about that one, as Lebster shaking his head back and forth. And I think Jake McLaughlin has a bit of a lighter moment with Lebster, as I think McLaughlin felt he got away with one. Well, Utah spun the puck all the way deep in the Kansas City zone. Looked like icing could have been waved off, but they made the call as there's 12:57 left in the third. So draw's going to be over in the right circle. And Gillette will take it. He's out there, Noah Gansky, Reed Lebster. As Gillette's played a lot of minutes here tonight, and Gillette's done a great job. Out to let Gillette after Utah wins the face-off. He gets the high slot. Lefty shot saved by LaFontaine. Now the Grizzlies dancing around in the right side. As Lebster, 2 points tonight, 1 goal and 1 assist, gets up top. Now across to Gansky. Back towards the left wing. Barbashev gets around one Maverick. He'll take a lefty shot that goes wide. Boy, Barbashev's played strong tonight. He already has 1 goal and had a good look at a second. Now Barbashev gets it back, skates down the middle, pushes it to Lebster. Shot, a score! And his baby's in the refrigerator as Reed Lebster gets his second of the night. And the Grizzlies take a 6-2 lead. Boy, puck towards the right side. As it was Barbashev, backhanded it to Lebster. Lebster fired it past LaFontaine. So Barbashev gets his first multiple-point game as a Grizzly, 1 goal and 1 assist, and Reed Lebster gets his 3rd point of the night. He's on hat-trick watch. He has 2 goals and 1 assist. So have a night, Reed Lebster. 6-2 Utah, 12:27 is the time remaining in this third period. 6 goals on 27 shots. As Kansas City wins the face-off, as they'll feed one left wing out to center ice. Grizzlies challenge him at the Utah line. Now Kansas City gets it in deep. Puck slides along the boards. Left wing Mavericks with a shot. That one's blocked away by Wells. As puck slides towards the left corner, Grizzlies get it as they'll race out to neutralize. Luke Salem drives it in. LaFontaine behind his net. Will feed it along the boards towards the far side. Kansas City gets the puck. We played 8 minutes of this third period. Utah leads 6-2. Grizzlies will bounce it off the left wing boards. Salem over there with Colby ends. Kansas City will get it back to the right side. Righty shot. I think it was taken by Farrell. Saved by Wells. Puck goes back towards the right wing, and the Grizzlies will sky it out to center ice. Kansas City gets it back at their blue line. Grizzlies quickly make a line change. Marcus Crawford gets tripped up by Shea. And no call on the play. There was a call as the referee was off the screen. Shea gets 2 minutes for tripping. That was an easy one for the referee to spot. So Kansas City will get their third power play of the night. Webster's goal was scored 7:33 in with Barbashev and John Gillette getting the assists. As they show the replay, I believe, of the trip, as Maverick was skating around Shea. Shea just tripped him up, and it looked like it was Lyndon McCallum. And Shea didn't get him by much, but McCallum was able to get off balance as a result. So Shea sitting in the box wearing an A on his sweater. Tyler Gratton, the Grizzlies captain. We believe the A's are worn by Shea and Manning. Noah Gansky's also had some games this season where he's worn an A. Kansas City wins the draw at 6-2 Utah. Mavericks high slot, lefty shot, save, rebound shot. And Wells, I believe, made the second shot, or Kansas City didn't get it off. Mavericks towards the left wing. They skate towards the circle. Kansas City gets to the middle of the ice. Crawford feeds to the right side. And a lefty shot. That one was misconnected. I think it was taken by Justin Janicki, who has 3 goals in the season. Grizzlies clear it out. Utah will get 4 fresh tires on their penalty kill. As Kansas City keeps the same 5 on the ice. Mavericks cross center ice. They're an ordinary power play unit. Kansas City had maybe the best forward line of any team in the league last year. And unfortunately for the Mavericks, those guys, Max Androv, Kate Borchard, and one other aren't on the team. I think Casey Crew might have been on that top forward line, and he's still a Maverick. Kansas City did lose some of their big guns offensively from the last couple years. Kansas City back towards the high slot. Righty shots blocked. That was blocked by, I believe, Reed Webster's done everything tonight. Webster has 2 shorthanded goals this season. Kansas City will feed it back up top, left point. Mavericks get it back to the right side. As I believe that's Janicki, number 28. Now the Mavericks over towards the left corner as they spread the ice in the offensive zone. Left wing. They tried to fire into traffic and it misses wide. Might have bounced off somebody near the crease. Kansas City gets back to the middle of the ice. Righty shot, saved by Wells. Rebound shot, and a score. So Kansas City gets a power play goal. Everybody goes to congratulate Jackson Berezowski. It looks like Berezowski gets his 3rd of the year. So it's now a 6-3 game with 10-10 left in the third. As they show the replay, they're kind of extended replays in Kansas City. Mavericks got towards the middle of the ice. The initial shot was taken by Landon McCollum, and then getting the rebound was Berezowski. Shot was helicoptered, bounced off of Wells' shoulder. Berezowski with a backhand feed, and he got some air under it. Wells was kind of stacking the pads, and Berezowski got some air under the backhand feed. And now they say the goal might be waved off. So now it's going to official video replay. So they're taking a look. Probably looking at goaltender interference. As shot, they show the shot, and then, I'm not really sure about based on the replay. We'll see if we get anything definitive. As Wells stacked the pads, there's a Maverick cutting in front of Wells. Then looked like there might have been a little bit of contact there with, I believe, Justin Janicki. Now the referee comes out of the penalty box. He's got a microphone. And they say it's a good goal. And based on the replays we saw, it's now a 6-3 game, but based on the replays they showed on Flow Sports, there really wasn't anything there that would say it wasn't a goal. And it'd be one of those things where if it wasn't a goal, then you'd probably say that the one that was scored in the first period with Webster cutting in front on the goal that Stucker had, that wouldn't be a goal either. So Berezowski scored. McCallum and Lohheit with the assist Time of goal, 9:50 into the third period. So it's now a 6-3 game as we're halfway through the third period. Interestingly enough, the Grizzlies have had a couple games recently where they've had a 6-3 final. As Genev tried to skate into the offensive zone, he was as patient as he could be, but a Grizzly was still in there. 9:55 left in the third. Kansas City got a power play goal by Jackson Berezowski, but it's 6-3 Utah's. Reed Lepster has 2 goals and 1 assist. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
So it's Utah 6, Kansas City 3 as we're halfway through the third period. As they show both benches, John Buchanan with his arms folded. Ryan Anderson. Looks like Anderson's got a navy blue suit jacket, and John Buchanan's got that sharp look. He kind of has that light, say, gray, silverish colored suit jacket. John's going to be at center ice. Year in and year out, Grizzlies coaches are about as well-dressed as anybody in the league. And with John Buchanan behind the bench, it's no different. Ryan Knaswich was well-dressed, and John Buchanan is as well. The Mavericks get it deep into the offensive zone. Grizzlies skate from left to right, or from right to left. I can't get my lefts and rights straight half the time anyway. As Kansas City from left to right. Left point, lefty shot goes wide. As Utah leads 6-3 with about 9 minutes left in regulation. Kansas City fires towards Wells and gets blocked about 5 feet in front of Wells. Christian Felton was battling with a Maverick. Now left wing, righty shot, and some action. Wells gets pushed into his net as the crossbar somehow stays in play. There's now 9:15 on a moving clock. Puck slides towards Wells. He covers up along the near goal line. As Sage Weinstein and the Maverick have some words. Been a very cleanly played game. Grizzlies, oddly enough, have not had a power play. Kansas City's 1 for 3 on their power play. Other action in the Mountain Division. Wichita and Tahoe are scoreless with 8 minutes left in the first period. Tulsa and Allen are tied at 2, just beginning play in the third period. And Rapid City and Idaho are tied at 3, about halfway through the second period. Former Grizzly Griffin Ness made his Kalamazoo debut. Kalamazoo tonight defeated Bloomington 6-2. No goals for Griffin Ness. He's wearing number 34. Ness did have 1 assist and a +1 rating. As Grizzlies get the draw, as there's about 9:08 on a moving clock, third period, Grizzlies cross center ice and they'll skip it in. Friesen chasing after it. Like Friesen and John Gillette have been strong blue-collar performers for the Grizzlies. You know you're going to get an outstanding shift and an outstanding effort from them every time. And that's really where the Grizzlies, assuming they are able to hold on to this lead, that's where the Grizzlies have won it, as they have put together a great effort on both ends of the ice. And it's really the Grizzlies forwards. And there's another case, though, the Kansas City does get out to center ice, where the Grizzlies are challenging Kansas City across, the whole 200 by 85 feet sheet of ice. Grizzlies are really doing a good job, especially their forwards, and challenging Kansas City defensemen at every turn. As Colby Enns and Luke Salem battle with a couple Mavericks. As Barbashev looking nearby. Now puck goes towards the near side. Barbashev's got a multiple-point game, 1 goal and 1 assist. As puck slides towards the point, Friesen gets held up by a Maverick along the wall. As Utah moving out to center ice. Well, a good hard-working shift by the Grizzlies. And once again, that's just kind of occupying and taking time and winning your fair share of 50-50 pucks. And the Grizzlies won more than their fair share of 50-50 pucks tonight. Kansas City towards the right wing, gets around Timofeyev. Puck slides towards the far wing. Grattan delivers a big-time hit on the Maverick, who tried to come up from behind him. Now Grattan delivers another hit. Boy, the Grizzlies captain's made an impact tonight. Now we get a whistle. And one of those turned out to be a penalty. As Tyler Grattan, I believe, is going to get an interference minor as Kansas City tried to get through him. And Tyler Grattan just along the boards cut off his pursuit. Emil Sharon hears it from, I believe, Tyler Granton. Interference to the call. And Tyler Granton can't believe it, but the Grizzlies captain will sit for 2 minutes. That's Kansas City's 4th power play of the game. Oddly enough, the Grizzlies haven't had a power play yet. And so we'll see Kansas City trying to climb back into this game as Granton gets a swig of water. 6 goals on 27 shots for Utah. Dylan Wells has saved 27 of 30. Riley Connors will take the draw against Luke Lohheit. Grizzlies do have 4 shorthanded goals this season. They might be a little bit more conservative with a 3-goal lead. Draw won by Kansas City after it bounced off a couple sticks. As Felton and Colby ends the 2 defensemen for the Grizzlies. As Felton holds his ground out down the middle of the ice. Righty shot saved by Wells off his body, and it flies out of play. Boy, Kansas City got a good look in the middle of the ice after a 2-on-2 scrum in the right corner. Berezowski looking for a second of the game. I believe he's the one that fired the shot as he bounced it off of Wells. As there's 7:36 left in the third period, and Wells has played a pretty good game for Utah. They mentioned the Griffin Ness deal. He was the player to be named later in the Luke Salem trade as the Grizzlies acquired Salem for future considerations. And unfortunately, from the Grizzlies' perspective, Ness turned out to be the future considerations. As Utah is pretty deep on both the forward line and the defensive units. Utah doesn't really have many extra defensemen, and sometimes that future considerations deal, you just end up losing a good player. And the Grizzlies lost a good one in Griffin Ness. And the Grizzlies lost a couple goaltenders earlier today. Kyle Kaiser was recalled to Colorado, and Casimir Costasuo was suspended by team. He might end up playing for a team overseas. As puck slides along the boards towards the left wing. Mavericks are in the offensive zone. About 1:15 left in the power play. Utah leads 6-3, 7 minutes left in regulation. Over to the left circle, Mavericks. They try to feed it towards the front of the crease. Pass misconnected. Kansas City down the middle of the ice. Lefty shot saved by Wells. Rebounds kicked towards the left corner. Mavericks get it back up top. Kansas City dancing around. They're over in the right point. They'll guide it across. Mavericks gets the left goal line. They try to curl one out in front. Kansas City jabbing away, and Wells appears to have covered up. Jackson Berezowski gets pushed in the side by Connors. Wells holds his ground. It's still a 6-3 game. So you show the replay. It was Lohheit dangling the puck back and forth, and then McCollum got it towards the left goal line for Lohheit. Lohheit fell down, and Berezowski was trying to jab away at it. Those players get their stick away in the crease. They show the replay. Lepster getting it done on the penalty kill as well. He's done everything tonight. 2 goals and 1 assist. It's been one of Utah's strong penalty killing forwards. Gansky will take the draw in the defensive zone. And I've been meaning to ask John Buchanan because the Grizzlies have done this on a few occasions, and now it's Robbie Stucker taking the draw, where they've had defensemen take faceoffs in the defensive zone on penalty kills. As Kansas City wins the draw towards the left side, now they get back up top. Oddly enough, it doesn't seem like the defensemen have won many of those faceoffs, as they haven't had a whole lot of experience in that particular department. But it's something we've seen the Grizzlies. I'm not sure I've seen any other team do it, but I've meant to ask John Buchanan. A Maverick plays soccer. Puck goes in the air. It's gloved and dropped by Timo Feyev, and he'll slide it all the way deep into the Kansas City zone as Utah gets 4 fresh tires on their penalty kill. I swear, next time I see John Buchanan, I'm going to ask him about whether there's a method to that, because it's the only team I've ever seen do that. Kansas City will get it towards the right circle. It's Mavericks dance around. Now they fire towards the net, and it's blocked away by Wells. Puck goes back up top. I believe that's Marcus Crawford. Gets towards the right corner. It's off a Cruz stick, and the Grizzlies clear it out. Coming out of the box is Tyler Granton. Utah's now 3 for 4 on the penalty kill tonight. It's Kansas City still in their own zone. Once again, the Grizzlies forwards challenge. Granton tapped it away from a Kansas City skater. 5.5 minutes left in regulation as the Grizzlies lead 6-3. Reed Lepster leads away with 2 goals and 1 assist. Right wing Kansas City, just outside the circle, dropping off. Right point as Mavericks slice it back towards the right corner. John Gillette with a push. Now up top, Kansas City will move it towards the left wing. Mavericks with a lefty shot saved by Wells. Rebound, everybody hacking away. And Wells has it covered up. And after the whistle, Luke Salem with a push on Luke Lohheit. So Wells has it covered up. 5:11 left in the third period. Utah leads 6-3. We'll find out how this one ends on the other side. You're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Mavericks Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
So Utah leads Kansas City 6-3. It's been a solid effort for the Grizzlies. They dominated the first period, outscoring Kansas City 4-0. Shea, Stucker, Lebster, and Genev each had first period goals. Maxime Barbashev made it a 5-0 game. He scored 6:54 in. Kansas City responded with two late second period goals. Nolan Sullivan and Will Gavin found the back of the net. Lebster gave Utah some insurance. 7:33 into the third with Barbashev and Gillette getting the assist. Jackson Berezowski scored a power play goal for Kansas City, 9:50 into the third. Grizzlies haven't had a power play yet. Kansas City's 1 for 4 on the man advantage. Mavericks have outshot the Grizzlies 36-27. Individual stars for Utah. Reed Lebster has 2 goals and 1 assist. Maxime Barbashev and Robbie Stucker each have 1 goal and 1 assist. Manning and Gansky each have 2 assists. Grizzlies also have a goal from Danny Genev. And Cooper Gay's got 1 assist, which turned out to be his first point as a Grizzly, and that came on the Shea goal, 6:52, and then Gay got the main assist on a great feed to the middle of the ice for Neil Shea. Kansas City wins the draws. We're skating 5-on-5, about 5 minutes left in the third period. Kansas City towards the left wing as Connors delivers a push towards the far wing boards. Grizzlies skate from right to left as we see the game. Kansas City's net is empty, according to a graphic. As Kansas City dancing around, Utah's trying to kick the extra point. Remember, the Grizzlies' season high in goals is 6. Over to the left wing, one-timer and a score. As Casey Carew gets his 8th of the year. That's now a 6-4 game with 4:47 left in the third. As Kansas City, their replays are a little bit more extended than some teams. Crawford had it in the right side, fed it to an open Crew, and his one-timer, a helicoptered past Dylan Wells. So Kansas City a little bit aggressive, already pulling their goaltenders. They had 6 in the offensive zone, and Casey Crew, as well as was looking towards the left post, and then just kind of moved back towards his right, but couldn't react in time as Casey Crew gets his 8th of the year. So it's a 6-4 game. Tad O'Had talking with Jackson Berezowski. Faceoff's going to be at center ice. And right now it appears that McLaughlin is in net. If Kansas City gets back into the offensive zone, I wonder if McLaughlin will come off for an extra attacker. Or maybe Tad O'Had maybe waits a couple minutes. And maybe with about 3 minutes left, he'll pull LaFontaine. Now Kansas City's net's open. According to a graphic, Utah will nudge it out towards center ice. As LaFontaine skating. The graphic said the net was empty and LaFontaine's back in there. Never trust a graphics operator, I guess. Kansas City gets around a Grizzly, skates over the offensive blue as they'll slide the puck back around the boards. Kansas City left goal line as they try to fire towards Wells. Wells had a bounce off of him. Grizzlies will sky it out towards center ice. LaFontaine's still in there, and Utah's called for icing with 4:06 left in the third. Now LaFontaine will skate towards the bench. As looks like since Kansas City's got an offensive zone draw, LaFontaine comes out. Smoke him if you got him. Grizzlies looking to find a way to secure the 2 standings points. Kansas City, after falling behind 5-0, has put together a comeback bid. We'll see if the Grizzlies can close the door on their 11th victory of the season. Kansas City has pulled their chips to the middle of the table. Their net is empty. About 4 minutes left in the third. Off the draw, left side, lefty shot goes wide. They missed the net glove side on Wells. Kansas City Feeds it back towards the right corner. Now the puck rolls along the boards. Gansky tries to box out a Maverick. Webster in the area. I threw it up but not out as he was trying to get to Tyler Gratton, who was standing at the Utah line. Kansas City back to the right corner. And now they'll bounce one to the right point. Crawford slides it back along the right wing boards. Kansas City dancing around. So Mavericks get it back up top. Crawford accepts the puck. He fired a righty shot that's blocked away. Might have hit his teammate. And now the puck is lifted. Crawford jumps to keep it in. Crawford to the middle of the ice. Grizzlies take it away. Utah fires towards the empty net and it misses. No icing, though. Grizzlies backhand it. And a score! Evan Friesen gets his 5th of the year. And Utah kicks the extra point. It's now a 7-4 game. Gratton got physical over in the right wing. And Crawford fed it to the middle of the ice and didn't get much on it. Grizzlies cleared it out, and icing was waved off. Friesen got the puck, backhanded it past the Kansas City goal line. So Evan Friesen now has a goal in back-to-back games. And with that, the Grizzlies now have a season-high 7 goals on the season. Grizzlies had 6 goals on October 30th against Jacksonville. They also scored 6 goals on December 6th in Allen. And the Grizzlies now with a season-high 7 goals here against Kansas City. 7 goals on 28 shots, and they've done it against an outstanding goaltender in Jack LaFontaine, who statistically is one of the league's best. Mavericks enter from the right side. Right point, righty shot goes wide. 3 minutes left in the third period. Now the Grizzlies will nudge it towards Kansas City. LaFontaine is in there. Icing on Utah with 2:55 left in the third. So a bit of an offensive explosion for the Grizzlies, who really, some games Grizzlies have tried to slow it down, play a control style. And, hey, tonight, I wouldn't say it's run and gun, but the Grizzlies are doing a good job utilizing their speed, playing in open ice, and they've really gotten it done with great effort on the defensive end. Some people will talk about how defense turns into offense, and the Grizzlies have utilized that in a lot of cases tonight. Grizzlies win the draw on one knee and is able to clear it out to center ice. Now we get a whistle. I wonder if Utah's going to get their first power play of the game. As Hudson Wilson, an unhappy Maverick, sporting a mustache, and it is going to be Utah's first power play of the game. Luke Lohheit will go to the box. Hooking's going to be the call. 2:49 is the time remaining in the third period. Utah does have a power play goal in 14 of their last 18 games. They show the replay. Kind of more of a slash than a hook, as Ends hit the ice and was able to clear it out to center ice. So 7-4 Utah. Connors will take the drives out there with Evan Friesen. Friesen with the empty netter has a goal in back-to-back games. Utah's got goals from 6 different players tonight. Friesen's goal was assisted by Robbie Stucker. How about Stucker tonight? He's got 3 points, 1 goal and 2 assists. Boy, this might be one of Robbie Stucker's best games as a pro, certainly statistically. Kansas City clears it all the way towards Dylan Wells. Two and a half minutes left in regulation. Grizzlies will probably slow it down a little bit. Kansas City's going to be pretty aggressive here, shorthanded, to try to see if they can get a cheap one. As Felton keeps dancing around, Felton's an outstanding skater as he just kind of does circles around Dylan Wells. Now Felton will sprint up ice. Felton speeds it towards his left. Grizzlies cross center ice. Timo Feyev dumps it in. Timo chasing after in the right wing. Puck along the boards. Kansas City gets it up. Felton along the boards will hold his ground. Now puck slides in the middle of the ice. Grizzlies skate in. Genea backhand shot saved by LaFontaine. Friesen drops it back. Now Genea gets it in the right side. He's got a goal tonight, 6 on the season. Genea 21 points, one of the best scoring rookies in the league. Genea fires towards the net, and that one's blocked away. Kansas City skates towards the near wing. 53 seconds left in the power play, and Kansas City will clear it out. Oddly enough, the first power play for the Grizzlies tonight. Utah spreads the ice. They switch out a few skaters as Felton continues to do circles around Dylan Wells' net. And Felton, he can run circles around just about anybody in this league. He's an outstanding skater, and you can see glimpses as to why he picked up an NHL contract with Vancouver after his college career was done at Merrimack. 25 seconds left in the power play, a minute 13 left in the third period. Grizzlies up 7-4. Kansas City gets the puck. They cross center ice 2-on-2. Mavericks over the offensive line. They look for a centering pass, and the net crashes open. Penalty is going to be on Utah as Casey Carew is shaken up. So penalty is going to be on a Grizzly. It might have been Noah Gansky as Carew was cutting towards the middle of the ice trying to get a pass, and the Kansas City trainer will come out to check to see if Casey Carew's okay. So that will do it for the power plays. 2-minute penalty will be called on the Grizzlies with 1:04 left in regulation. Carew gets back to his feet a little bit slowly as Mavericks looking for the transition game. Carew threw it to the middle of the ice so they show a replay. The Mavericks trying to get it back towards Carew. Carew and Neil Shea collided, and Shea did what he had to do. You got to find a way to intercept it. Shea got Carew from behind, and Carew did have a step on Shea. And so all Neil Shea wanted to make sure that happened is he had to find a way to make sure we got a penalty shot, it appears. Puck is at center ice, and it looks like Kansas City. Shea gets 2 minutes for tripping. We're going to skate 4-on-4 for 15 seconds. The puck is laying at the center ice circle, almost looking like McLaughlin was going to get a penalty shot. Well, we'll see, though. I think it's just a penalty, and the puck just laying at center ice. Now, nevertheless, it almost looked like they were starting the procedures for a penalty shot. I guess not. So they're skating 4-on-4. The puck was laying at the center ice circle, so maybe they thought about it. The two number 11s, Friesen and McCollum, taking the draw. This one's won by Utah. We're skating 4-on-4 for 15 seconds. Now there's less than 1 minute left in regulation. Grizzlies lead 7-4 as Utah with the season high 7 goals. They now have 11 goals in a 2-game stretch. 4 goals last Saturday against Atlanta and 7 here against Kansas City. Grizzlies cross the center red line and dump it in. Kansas City's on the power play for the rest of regulation unless they score a goal here. And the great thing about the 11 goals in a 2-game stretch, the Grizzlies have done against 2 of the better defensive teams in the league. Kansas City only allowing 2.7 goals per game down the middle of the ice. Righty shot save. Rebound shot saved by Wells. He holds on with 26 seconds left. So draws going to be in the Grizzlies zone. Atlanta's allowing just about 2 goals per game, and the Grizzlies were able to get 4 on them last Saturday. And here tonight, Jack LaFontaine, statistically one of the best goaltenders in the league, coming into play with an 11-1-1 record. And the Grizzlies have put up 7 on him. Well, 6, and then obviously the empty netter with Friesen at the end. You don't really count that against the goalie. But what a performance by the Grizzlies. And even though Kansas City put together a pretty good comeback bid, the Grizzlies have held strong. So Utah, barring the craziest thing in hockey history, will go to 11-12-2 on the year. And they will be 8-5-1 on the road. Kansas City has a glance off a stick. Utah will race out to neutral ice, and they'll dump it in. And this is Kansas City's 5th power play of the game. Grizzlies with just 1 power play. Tomorrow will be Kansas City's teddy bear toss night. Grizzlies had a team record 5,770 teddy bears. Kansas City will bounce off the right wing boards. 2 seconds left, and that will do it. Grizzlies win! Grizzlies win! Grizzlies win 7-4, and there was no doubt about it. Reed Lepster had 2 goals and 1 assist. Maxim Barbashev had 1 goal and 1 assist, and Robbie Stucker had 1 goal and 2 assists, and Dylan Wells was able to get the job done in net. He gets his team leading 6th victory of the season. And even though the Grizzlies didn't get it done in terms of special teams, and Kansas City did outshoot Utah 41-28, the Grizzlies come away with 2 standings points. Luke Manning and Noah Gansky each had 2 assists. Neil Shea and Danny Genev, as well as Evan Friesen, each found the back of the net. And what can you say about the defensive pairing of Robbie Stucker and Noah Gansky? They were each a +4 for Utah tonight. Grizzlies did it against a good Kansas City club as Utah gets their 11th victory of the season. And the Grizzlies are now 8-5-1 on the road this year. Grizzlies start the weekend on the winning note. They have now won 2 in a row, and the Grizzlies have scored 11 goals in their last 2 games. The 7 goals tonight are a season high. 3rd game this season, the Grizzlies have scored 6 or more, and they get it done tonight with 7. Reed Lepster is probably going to be the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and 1 assist, but you can't forget about Robbie Stucker, who had a 3-point night, and I'm not sure that might be the most points he's had in a single game in his pro career. Well, post-game show will start in 30 seconds, and it's going to be a happy one. Grizzlies 7, Mavericks 4. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Grisby commutes to work by riding UTA. It gives him time to make friends and relax before arriving to the Maverick Center. But how can Grisby keep enjoying that feeling throughout the entire day? An idea! Utah Transit Authority, proud sponsors of the Utah Grizzlies.
So Grizzlies come away with a 7-4 victory as it's the start of a 3-game and 3-day stretch. And really starting tonight, the Grizzlies have road games in 9 of their next 11 games. And so Utah's not going to be at home very often over the next few weeks. But they got it done, and really they got it done with an outstanding first period performance where they scored 4 goals. Neil Shea made it a 1-0 game. He scored 6:52 and it really got started 10 seconds into the game where Luke Manning had a breakaway. Grizzlies really dominated action in the first period. Shea got Utah on the board 6:52 in with Cooper Gay and Noah Gansky gained the assists. Gay picked up his first point as a Grizzly. Robbie Stucker was in the right point, 8:49 in. He helicoptered one towards the net, and Reed Webster cut in front of Jack LaFontaine. There was a little bit of contact there. They looked at it on video replay, but they determined there was no goaltender interference. Goal stood as Stucker got his second of the year. Manning and Webster picked up the assists. And then Reed Webster scored 12-10 into the first. It made it a 3-0 game. Luke Manning picked up the lone assist. And then Danny Genev extended Utah's lead to 4-0. He scored 17-12 in with Stucker and Gansky getting the assists. Utah outshot Kansas City 11-6 in the first period, and the Grizzlies led 4-0 after one. Maxim Barbashev extended Utah's lead to 5-0. He converted on a Kansas City turnover, unassisted, 6:54 in. Kind of tip your cap to the Mavericks. They kept battling, though. Kansas City got on the board as Nolan Sullivan unassisted, 10:25 in, and then Will Gavin scored 15:25 in with Glenn, and Souter gained the assists. Utah led 5-2 after 2 periods. Kansas City outshot Utah 20-11 in the second period and 15-8 in the third. In the third period, Grizzlies made it a 6-2 game as Reed Webster scored his 13th of the year. Barbashev and Gillette picked up the assists. For Webster, that was his second goal of the night. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. He was a +3. He had 4 shots. He contributed to Utah's penalty kill. Other than that, he didn't do a whole lot. He probably is going to be the game's #1 star. Kansas City scored back-to-back goals. Berezowski, 9:50 into the third. It was a power play goal and a rebound from a McCollum shot. And then Casey Crew scored 15:09 in with Crawford and Cotton getting the assist. And that was a 6-on-5 goal for Kansas City as their net was empty. Tato had got pretty aggressive, pulling the goaltender about as early as he could. Grizzlies scored an empty netter as Robbie Stucker fired it into the Kansas City zone. His shot didn't go through, but icing was waved off. Friesen got to the puck before a Kansas City player did, and then a backhand feed found the back of the net. As Friesen now has a goal in back-to-back games. He has 5 goals on the season, and that completes an outstanding night for Robbie Stucker, who had 1 goal, 2 assists. He was a +4 and had 3 shots. For my money, it's the best game Stucker has played as a Grizzly, and one of the best games he has played as a pro. So Utah comes away with a 7-4 victory. Let's go over the 3 stars of the game, and we got to check because Kansas City seems to have believed that Will Gavin scored his first pro goal. They had a graphic that said so in the second period, but we believe he scored a goal with the Allen Americans. That's according to the Kansas City Mavericks game notes. They never gave us a lineup for Kansas City, but they did give us some notes, and Gavin did score a goal with Allen, 1 goal in 17 games. He now has 2 goals in his pro career. Third star is Robbie Stucker. We mentioned the job he did tonight, 1 goal and 2 assists. He was a +4. Second star goes to Will Gavin. He had 1 goal. It was his first as a Maverick, but it was just his second pro goal. I guess they had to give a Maverick a star. That must be the rules there. So Will Gavin is the second star of the night. And the #1 star is Reed Webster with 2 goals and 1 assist. Quite a few great performances by Grizzlies tonight. Gansky and Manning each had 2 assists. And that defensive pairing, Stucker and Gansky, reach a +4. Webster was a +3. Evan Friesen and John Gillette, as well as Tyler Gratton. Those 3 players were a +2. And Grizzlies had a few +1s. That was Enns, Salem, Timofeyev, Luke Manning was a +1, so was Neil Shea. So really for the Grizzlies, just about everybody contributed to the attack tonight. In terms of who led the team in shots, looks like Neil Shea and Danny Genev each had 5 shots, and that's really not a surprise. Shea's averaging about 4 shots per game this season, and Danny Genev just about all season has been second among league rookies in shots on goal. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It will be Kansas City's Teddy Bear Toss night, so it will be a jumping atmosphere. Dylan Wells got the victory in net for Utah. He gets a 6th win of the season as his record goes to 6-6-2. Wells saved 37 of 41. Jack LaFontaine, normally a pretty good goaltender. If he would have gotten a victory tonight, he would have been the winningest goaltender in Kansas City history. That could still be up for grabs the next time he steps on the ice. But tonight, LaFontaine saved 23 of 29, and obviously Utah's 7th goal was on an empty net. Time of game was an unfortunate 2 hours and 37 minutes and in front of a crowd of 4,376. Well, Grizzlies didn't really have many power plays. They were 0 for 1 on the power play. Kansas City was 1 for 5. But the Grizzlies come through with a big victory as they led 5-0. And even though Kansas City put together a run to try to come back, Grizzlies held on, and they get the victory 7-4. The 7 goals are the most the Grizzlies have had in a single game this season. Next broadcast of Grizzlies hockey will be tomorrow night. Remember, it's going to start an hour earlier. It's going to be a 5 o'clock start in the Mountain Time Zone. 5:05, they'll drop the puck. Pregame coverage will begin at 4:50, and that's 5:50, obviously, in Kansas City time. And then the Grizzlies, after tomorrow night's game, will get on a bus, and Sunday afternoon they will face the Tulsa Oilers at 2:05. We will be reading reports. We may take a grain of salt on some of them, based on what's going to happen to the players and this league after this weekend. Obviously, after Sunday's game, everybody in the league will have a 4-day Christmas break. What will happen after that? We certainly hope the Grizzlies will have games on December 26th and 27th as the Idaho Steelheads will be in town for the final time ever. Obviously, both teams could meet in the postseason, but final regular season meetings ever between the Grizzlies and Idaho Steelheads. Well, hopefully you had a fun evening. Hopefully you enjoyed the broadcast. It was a little bit difficult with the remote feed, but we tried to have fun and just try to do the best we could with what we're given. And after all, we're thrilled to be here, and really we're hoping that we can provide 72 games for this season, as this is the Grizzlies' final hunt, and this has certainly been a tough 2025, but nevertheless, we're just trying to find a way to power through. For the Grizzlies tonight, they put together a great effort, and they come away with a 7-4 victory over the Kansas City Mavericks. That'll about wrap things up. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tyson Whiting, and I'm just pursuing my dream, and that's to someday find a way to get to the National Hockey League. Grizzlies' dreams came true tonight. They get a 7-4 road victory against a good Kansas City Mavericks club. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 4:50 pregame show, 5:05 face-off. I'm Tyson Whiting, and it is what it is. You've been listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network. Good night, everybody.